is that what was tabled was not a discussion of how GA is going to go about ruling a no confidence for everybody. What was tabled was a discussion of whether or not we were going to rule a no confidence in John Kenney. That was the discussion. That's what had to be consensus on. That's why last night it wasn't a conversation about John Kenney. It was a conversation about our impeachment process within the movement. That's not what was proposed. Our proposal was no confidence in John Kenney. So that is what is going to be discussed.
Point of process. Thank you. We're way off topic.
Right.
Back on to committee announcements, please.
Thank you. Thanks for taking us up back.
So, I'll go first for committee announcements. Events committee meets every day at 4:30 until Sunday. We go back to 5:30 after that. We are planning a lot of marches and rallies. More participation would be awesome. February 8th, we are planning a free speech rally downtown. We're asking people to meet here at 4 o'clock. We're going to be blasting that through every means possible tonight. It'd be great if we could do it by word of mouth as well. So 4 o'clock here on Wednesday to do a free speech rally downtown.
That's joining with the Labor Council.
In conjunction with someone else, right? It's not all
Yes. It is in conjunction with the Labor Council. What we're going to do is we're going to do our action for 2 hours and then let them set up for their action and move out of the way and let them take over because it's their action. So we're going to do ours for 2 hours, kind of a practice for February 11th because we're doing the same thing on the 11th. Once the Labor Council shows up, we're going to move to the edges, kind of let them do their thing. We're still going to be there. We're still going to be soapboxing. It just won't be on 5th and E where they're going to be at. So that's our plan for Wednesday meet here at 4 o'clock. Also from events committee, we're bringing a proposal tomorrow to determine how the tickets for the Olympia Washington trip will be determined. The proposal will be brought tomorrow. Yeah. Did I figure anything?
We're working on which corporation to focus on for shutdown the corporations on February 29th. He possibly might be going after Sempra. We have to double check and see if they are for sure an ALEC corporation. Yes.
They are not.
No? Are you sure?
Are you
well,
sure?
we're going to double check it and find out.
Alright. I was looking earlier.
Well, I don't know. I'm just passing on a message. Don't shoot the messenger. We also have some other things possibly coming up. We're thinking about a couple different marches. We also have a couple other things coming up. We're possibly thinking about some other different marches and events and activities to kind of fill in the spaces in between the large events that we have coming on. Don't forget about February 11th. I'm sure he already reminded you guys. That's all I can think of right now. That's it. Any questions? Yes?
When is shutdown the corporations planned for?
February 29th.
Okay.
It's a nationwide event.
Okay.
Anything else?
Are there any Facebook event page or anything like that for these February 8th, February 11th?
There is one for February 11th.
But it's Labor Solidarity, not ours.
Okay, well, tonight we're going to be making one for the February 8th one for ours. There's one for the Labor Solidarity portion of it, or Labor Council of it, but we want to make one for Occupy San Diego's portion of it. That way people can find out info for that also. Any other? Alright, that's it. There you go.
Any other committee announcements?
Yeah.
So I announced this last night, but I'm seeing a lot of faces that I didn't see last night. So Occupy San Diego officially has a website again. The domain name is a little reversed. It's sandiegoOccupy.org. It's got blogs, it's got forums. It's not just a place that regurgitates some Twitter. It's a communications tool. So use it, entertain each other, and get a rock your socks off. Yeah.
Who actually is moderating that site, just so that we know where all that stuff is?
Right. So it's currently under the Regrouping Media Committee. We've been working for about 10 days on the site so far to get it up and running to where it is now, and we launched it yesterday. And the big thing we're working on within the media committee right now is just accountability. So this doesn't pertain to the website so much, but say Twitter, we now have 3 people twittering, and no one can censor any other person's post without consulting the group of 3. So we're working on little issues like that to make sure we never run into issues again, like one guy gets upset and runs off websites, or one guy shuts down hosting, or what have you. Really hoping to keep this up and up all the time. Knock on wood.
Thank you. Point of clarification. So does that mean it's kind of moderated by everyone in media?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask the media committee if they know what happened to our media card that used to be here?
That was a previous incarnation, and I couldn't tell you.
Does anybody know what happened to it? I'm kind of curious what happened.
I have a little bit.
What happened to which?
The media card. Remember that?
It's at ASD House.
Media card is safely at ASD House, waiting for us to have a place to put it, and there whenever we need it.
Thanks.
All right. We the People 2012 committee meeting happened. Oh, I thought that was over.
No, I
Tuesday at 6.
that would be tomorrow.
Tomorrow at 6 o'clock is the next meeting.
All right. So the We the People 2012 Planning Committee had its first Saturday night Ocean Beach bonfire meeting thing. It was a little bit rocky at first, but the turnout was awesome, and we actually came up with some really cool things to do. Right now, we're in the process of creating the actual framework for the conversation, which will be involving people from, ideally involving people from as many different kind of political viewpoints as possible. So naturally, kind of contentious, and thinking about possibly incorporating a format for a debate in the middle of a discussion regarding issues. It's basically fully issue centered. Politicians and parties are left at the door, and we're talking about issues and solutions. That's what we've got so far, as well as a good list of different kinds of issues that are to discuss, and how we're going to be able to get that in a certain time frame. Still work in progress. We'd love to have your input if you've got it. So the meetings are going to be taking place at 7 o'clock p.m. every Saturday at Ocean Beach, the bonfire pits, and on the curve of Newport and Abbott, or possibly, actually, yeah, we're going to do Del Monte, because those bonfire pits got too crazy. So it'll be the Del Monte bonfire pits at Dog Beach. And there's one more thing. Oh, we have the general statement, which has eventually come to GA and propose for GA consensus to send to the interoccupations across the country, so we can get the show on the road. And that's about it. Oh, wait, Sunday's 5:30 too, after the 7 o'clock party.
5:30 here?
Yeah. 5:30 Sundays here, 7 p.m. Saturdays in Ocean Beach.
Okay, my question back to you. The first is, what's the exact name of the committee again?
It's We the People 2012
Okay,
Campaign
awesome.
Planning Committee.
And you said the next meeting will be at the what, at Dog Park? Like, what's the name of the area?
It'll be on Del Monte and Abbott. There'll be a parking lot there, and there'll be the bonfire pits at Del Monte and Abbott.
Okay.
So yeah, if you do come, try and bring wood and food and festivities and all that stuff.
I have a question. What is 2012 at?
The 2012 election race, the year 2012.
Oh, okay.
I don't have a question. I just have a community.
Anybody else questions about Weird People?
Women's committee, a lot of people already know about this, but I just want to reiterate it. We just set up a Facebook event page. We are co-hosting the national speaking tour for David Cobb with MoveToAmend.org. That's going to be on February 28th in the evening, 7 o'clock at the Church of the Brethren, which is the same campus as the Peace Resource Center and the Friends Center. So there's a Facebook event page. You can also find it under the events at MoveToAmend.org barnstorming tour. So we'll have more flyers and stuff out, but I just wanted to mention it tonight because we just set up the Facebook page for it. And this is to the constitutional amendment to end corporate personhood. So it's going to be a really good speaker, give us a really good sense of what's happening nationwide with the movement to get a constitutional amendment going.
Mike? Committee announcement. Okay, so any questions for? No? Okay. So finance committee announcement. On Saturday, we convened at Balboa Park, and we passed an amendment to repurpose the stickers. If you haven't seen them, they're lovely. They say 99% on them, and they have the donate website at the bottom. To instead of selling them because there's such a limited opportunity to raise funds with the stickers, to repurpose them and send them in a letter or take personally to businesses as a fundraising mechanism. So if you know of Occupy-friendly businesses that may be interested in putting that sticker up someplace within their business, or would like to know more about how to donate, we are, again, we do have a 501(c), which makes any donation from anyone, including businesses, tax deductible. So if you know Occupy-friendly businesses, let me know. We're going to try 100 of these stickers, which have been repurposed for that experiment, we'll call it. Next, back to an issue with a website. As some of you may or may not know, there was a person who had the original website who got a lot of donations. A lot of those donations never made it to Occupy San Diego. That person has another site up. We have it on Good Information that that site is, and for those of you who are online, go check it out, occupysandiego.weebly, that's WEEBLY.com. Also, occupysd.weebly.com. And there is a donation button on that site that goes directly to this person's PayPal account. So it's a scam. And it's the same person who scammed us earlier. You probably know who that is. We have it on very good authority as to who it is. We do. It's Kayla, and you all know it. So, or if you don't know it, you should know it, because there was anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 that was taken in donations. That money that OSD never saw. So, you know, watch out for scam sites. There is only one place to donate to Occupy San Diego, and that is through Activist San Diego. And so if you find a site, if you click on it and it does not go there, then you should have questions. Info.
OccupySanDiego.weebly.com isn't up. What was the other spelling?
OccupySD.
OccupySD.weebly.com. Yeah, that one's coming up.
Has anyone contacted or tried to get in contact with Anonymous to possibly, hypothetically, cool. Just wanted to know.
Thanks. I just wanted to say that that official link is on the website. It's on the real website, SanDiegoOccupy.org, and it's under the section at the top bar. You'll see a link that says Contribute. So it couldn't be easier. You click Contribute, you click Donate, and it goes right to the official donation place. So no hunting around for it. It's on the official site.
Question.
Yeah.
I haven't been there. In fact, I haven't been online much in the last several months. But is there a warning on that site saying this is the only official place and watch out, any other site is a scam?
You know, there's not right now, but there very well could be. All the language in the Contribute section right now is pretty friendly. So the main contribution we're asking for isn't money. The main contribution we're asking for on the Contribute page is bring yourself, bring your friends, bring concerned parties to Occupy San Diego. That's the biggest contribution you can make. The second biggest contribution you can make is some financial resources our way. So it's kept pretty friendly right now, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to have one.
There's a question.
Yeah, this is about the first thing you mentioned. So as far as the contacting, as far as contacting friendly or Occupy-friendly businesses, is there like a set of standards? Because I know a place that would love to do this, but their business is kind of controversial.
Well, let's bring it all to the table and sort it out. I think we're all about the 99%. I don't think that's a slogan. So let's be inclusive and not exclusive. Let's not find reasons to exclude people. Let's find reasons to include people.
You're not talking about Semper, are you?
No.
Have you heard the Crips?
Oh, I'm a big fan. I have a frequent shopper card.
Awesome.
Actually, the crypt actually had some pro-Occupy things up the first week.
Cool.
Okay, I'm reporting on the committee for the super committee that's planning the event on Saturday. And I think it'd be worthwhile to run through the schedule just briefly so that people know what's happening. We're meeting here at 8:30. We have apparently people from at least 10 other occupies coming from SoCal. It's going to be a good event. We're going to be marching to, carrying soapboxes and marching to different areas in downtown, the Gaslight District. That will be from 9:30 to 10. We'll be dropping people off as we march along. And then from 10 to 11:30, people will be speaking from these soapboxes. So if Wednesday you can get some practice, that would be good coming Wednesday night. From 11:30 to 12, we're going to collect everybody with the soapboxes and march to the Children's Plaza, where we're going to meet with the Save Your Bill of Rights group. And we are going to march with them, hopefully to the Democratic State Convention site, or as close to that as we can get. We don't know how close that will be. And join with them in a protest on the NDAA. Does anyone need to know what the NDAA is? Okay. Then we may address Senator Feinstein at that time, because she's going to be there, and her husband is one of the owners of the space that we are standing on. Then we will be going to, okay, that's till 1:30. 1:30 to 2, we're going to go to our afternoon location, which at this moment appears to be Balboa Park. That might change. We'll update you soon about that. And from 2 to 2:30, we will be serving lunch to the whole Inter-Occupy group. The events committee is doing that. I think it's events. Is that okay? And then after lunch, we're going to start with breakout groups. We're going to have 2 hours of breakout groups from 2:30 to 3:30, from 3:30 to 4:30. On a variety of topics, which we'll talk about at another announcement. At 4:30, we're hoping to have Marjorie Cohen speak to us about the NDAA for about 15 minutes, and then from 4:45 to 6:30, we will be having a GA. We are still in discussion about how exactly that will look. Then dinner from 6:30 to 7:30. Again, we will be supplying that, and then at 7:30 there will be an open mic. There will be time for meetings, discussion, fun, whatever. So a very full day. Does anyone have any questions?
Just, you guys realize that this weekend too at Children's Park at 12 o'clock is the anarchist picnic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah.
That's gonna be fun.
I'm sorry to probably address it at the meeting because I hadn't been to all of them, but is this going to have any direct correlation with the Democratic Convention, or is it just happen on the same day?
Basically, the NDAA action is directly correlated with the Democratic Convention.
Okay.
And when she mentioned Senator Feinstein, Feinstein will be speaking at the Democratic Convention. So without a doubt.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Okay. Thank you.
I'd like to add one onto that. Take off the moderator hat for a second. Anybody who is willing to do a little research or anything along topics that could be publicly spoke about on these soapboxes, feel free to talk to me afterwards. It'd be cool to get your help. That's all.
And a point of information on that, there is a text line for F11 and for events in the future. You can text at OSD info to 23559, spells out Selly, and that will put you on the text line so that if things have to change during that day, if you get lost and you know where we're at. Any of those things, so that there will be a number of people moderating that line who can respond, and we'll keep updating the crowd as to what's going on, where we are, any police resistance, anything that we need to update on the fly on, that will be the text line.
One more time, you said it's 2599?
Text at OSD info to 23559, and that'll add you to that line. Right now, it's a moderated line because it hasn't been decided how exactly that's going to work. So if you want to post to it, it would go to one of the moderators to be reposted. That way, it's not as bad as the one we had before, where the only person who could post to it was one individual and nobody knew what the hell was going on. And the other option, when it was open and people would text you at 2 o'clock in the morning because they wanted water, and 40 million people would get that, and everybody unsubscribed. We're going to try this one a little bit different, see how it works.
Any other questions?
Just a suggestion, just quickly. The declaration, you know, the New York City occupation that we consented to. That's one topic for the soapbox speeches.
Yeah.
You need to break it up.
Any other committee announcements?
Yeah. Wellness, sick call, Monday, Wednesday, Friday here during GA, and then Saturdays 10 to noon here. Myself or any of the other medics that have the medical flag are happy to assist you.
Also, what's Tuesday? Tranquil Tuesday?
Oh, Tranquil Tuesdays here, 2 o'clock.
Committee announcement? Okay, so these aren't actual official committees, but I do have to leave, so I beg your indulgence. Tomorrow, City Council is having a meeting where they have they're going to present a proclamation from Marty Emerald in regards to the 100-year celebration of free speech. So if you want to go and speak to City Council and tell them how your free speech is just so great because of this proclamation, I know I'm going to do it. There is one particular whereas that I think will probably affect most people, and I'll read it real quick. It says, whereas those affected and others who were appalled by these free speech restrictions stood up to the police and fought for their rights to protest. They were subsequently abused and held in local jails, some without trial periods for up to 6 months. That was what they're talking about from 100 years ago. Is that still going on right now? Yeah, I'm here free on $10,000 bond.
Not 6 months.
We're up. I mean, and literally, if they haven't charged you yet, they're holding that charge. They can hold it for a year. So it's in effect, you're as well as being in jail for up to a year, or at least having that over your head. So that's then 3 years for a felony. So that's tomorrow.
10 o'clock.
Tell your friends.
What
and
time and where?
10 o'clock.
City Council.
12th floor.
Get there early. Fill out and fill out as an individual, because you know their rules. They only allow people to speak on an individual topic, one person. So if you put you're from OSD or Occupy, only one person is going to get to speak. But if you put as an individual, you should get your opportunity to speak to this proclamation.
And the other thing to bear in mind is that this is actually an agenda item. So look at the agenda. This is going to be early on the agenda. It's a special something they do at the beginning of their agenda. So you can actually put on your speaker slip you want to speak on this agenda
Yes,
item.
you definitely want to speak on this particular agenda item. And the other announcement is there's a group. It's they formed a page. It's thefutureofoccupy.org. And this is a group that's contacted us. They're out of New York, and they are looking for pictures, and they are looking for bloggers. Apparently, Occupy San Diego is catching the attention of other Occupies across the nation. When we went and marched on the Rose Parade, when we mic check the mayor, when we try to a citizen's arrest on the mayor, the Amarillo 13, all of these things have attracted a lot of attention from Occupies across the country. So they very much want to hear from us. They want pictures, they want videos, they want bloggers to contribute to this site, the future of Occupy.org.
Oh, never mind.
Any questions? Any other committee announcements? No? All right. The first agenda on the floor is whether or not we're going to rule a no confidence in John Kenny. Where's Will Johnson?
Paging William Johnson!
Hi.
What that is?
Sorry?
What effectively is no confidence? Like, what is everybody voting on?
Oh,
What does a vote of no confidence in John Kenny mean so that people know what they're voting on?
I still haven't written that out. Quite frankly, I was.
Or my phone. Did anybody even know this was happening
Or
tonight?
are we going to change the language of what we consensus upon last night to no confidence?
Well, just the specific bullet points of what that means they would not be allowed to do.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes. Let me get to it. All right. I'm sorry.
I was the one that proposed this, and I'm the one who's not there.
On the port. Okay. All right. This is what we consent to yesterday.
Okay, the process point. Just
So we did not
leave that
consent
point
to it.
completely off the table.
And mic check.
Okay.
There's the C word.
So
Are you requesting a human mic, Kathy?
Yeah,
Okay.
I love it.
so this is what the proposal was yesterday.
Stop with
Louder.
yesterday.
Okay.
Just the bullet points of what a no
From
confidence.
Friday, there was a tabled proposal to have a vote of no confidence in John Kenny. Over the weekend, it was hashed out what specifically a vote of no confidence would be, which would mean that individuals who we, as the General Assembly, have voted no confidence in cannot participate nor be included in quorum in any decision-making functions of Occupy San Diego. These include, but are not limited to, Occupy San Diego General Assembly, committees, working groups, and event planning meetings. If an individual who has no confidence from the General Assembly does actively participate in the process, any decisions made by that group would be void. Individuals who we have no confidence in will not be able to utilize OSD property, finances, or media services. However, food, water, and medical services will not be denied if they are available. The individual who is on the proposal for no confidence is not, they are automatically abstained from that consensus call. Causes for no confidence in this specific instance have been numerous and stated many, many times. If we need to go through a laundry list, I'm sure we could do a short stack or a long stack, and the evidence could be brought forward again. But that effectively it would be the result of no confidence in John Kenny. He would not be able to participate or be included in quorum in any decision-making functions, including but not limited to the GA, the committees, the working groups, and the event planning. And he would not be able to, he wouldn't be able to participate, or else the decisions wouldn't be valid. And John Kenny would not be able to utilize our property, finances, or media services, although he is more than welcome to have food, water, or medical. That's effectively what it would mean.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
When was that decided?
That is what we are discussing right now. That is the vote on the floor tonight.
Oh, I
So
so
I'm going to start this off. Let's do a little temperature check of who actually wants to hear the list of evidence of why we are bringing this to the table.
For historical record, it needs to be said.
Okay, who does not want to? Any hard blocks about discussing the evidence? Okay, let's start a stack for who wants to bring up the evidence about John Kenny.
Can I ask a question about what the no confidence means? Just a simple one. Since a vote of no confidence means you can't vote on or participate in a GA. Shouldn't that also extend to committees and working groups? So it's not, the onus isn't on the committee or working group to keep said person from participating, but it just will be void, right?
The intention of that language and the reason that was brought up over the weekend, from my understanding, is to make sure that that individual could not subvert process, create a committee, and start funneling things back through effectively a front committee to try and get back involved.
But the other side of this is I would want a committee, an existing committee, to have to do like a full bore intervention with this person to get him the heck out of the. I mean, are we able to just say that his or her vote just wouldn't count?
It says that.
I will say that it's really meant for concern stat and amendments and all that. Let's get this show on the road.
That's my take.
But I agree.
We're going to question stack and then concern stack.
I just like to suggest that we have like a time limit for this discussion.
Yeah.
If we want to extend it, we can. That way we just move on. It's an important discussion, but then on to the next agenda. So maybe
In all
15
honesty,
minutes
though,
or
what was tabled on Friday is that if this discussion takes 4 hours, that's what it takes, and that we will reach a consensus on it. So I hear what you're saying.
well, we can extend. I'm just saying. I think it seems like we could probably get through it pretty quick. If we can, we can extend.
The GA's already told us what to do. I mean, that's just how it is.
I'm just
The
saying GA
says it
can
takes
sense
all
on
night.
something.
That's what the GA says it's going to take. We can't change it now. Yes. Right.
So, who wants to get on stack to help fill in GA on the evidence? Kathy, Melissa, Fish.
Can I request not to go first? I am handing back my progressive stack, and we'll go. I'll fill in the gaps later. Okay.
Okay, I'm taking stack, so unless I see you,
John, a minute for stack.
Yeah, it started.
All right, who wants to go first? Who's first? Kathy.
January 11th, I found there was a call for participation
Point of
in
process. Point of process.
What's that?
Are we going into the laundry list before discussing the proposal that's on the table?
This is actually because someone voiced an error saying that they had no clue what John Kenny's past is. They want to take
That's
part.
not my question.
Okay.
I'm explaining something.
I can
You
answer.
asked the moderator
You're
a
not
question.
answering my question.
Listen,
Melissa.
I'm the moderator.
Would you like a tutor, Ben?
No.
Let
Let me ask
Whoa,
Melissa, since
stop
you
talking.
read it.
Go ahead.
Melissa, you read something called,
Stack's closed.
what is the definition of a vote of no confidence? And you read the whole thing. When was that passed?
That is not passed. That is the clarification on the proposal from Friday as to voting no confidence in John Kenny. We have to define what that would be before we can make a consensus call on whether we are going to do it. So that is just a more detailed explanation of what that vote of no confidence that was tabled would include.
With me. So we're defining what the punishment would be if we vote no confidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
In
I-
this specific instance, because it is a specific instance on one person.
Okay.
The reason that we are going into this laundry list prior to the concerns, the question stack, is because the moderator just gave a temperature check to the crowd as to whether they wanted to do that. And there was substantially more people who twinkled in favor of hearing the grievances prior to voting on a vote of no confidence for John Kenny.
I twinkled in favor too, but that was not before we discussed the proposal that's on the table as to what a vote
That
of no.
is the discussion.
Time out. My question to you is, what procedure will we use in decide in
this right now.
I'm asking Melissa or the moderator. Or my question is, what procedure are we going to use in order to determine whether or not we vote no confidence on John?
So I'm going to reiterate what I already reiterated, is we're going to have a discussion about the evidence. After that, we are going to have questions based on the proposal. After that, we will have concerns. After that, we will have amendments. Then we will vote. That is the process. We're done talking about it.
Just to clarify, the process that we're using is called the General Assembly. That's the process we use for everything.
Right.
So that's the process we're using to have this discussion. So that's the answer you're looking for.
Well,
Okay.
now
So
you've
I'm going to
raised
step
another
in
question.
as like a member of the facilitation committee right now, and I'm going to go and tutor Ben on this process so the moderator can get back to the general assembly.
Ben is not
Will
interested in
someone
being
please
tutored.
watch my bags for encroachment?
Show them hand signals also.
You're not going to tutor me. I'm going to ask a question of the person who just spoke.
Yes.
That is.
You did.
Actually, I can talk to you offline if you'd like.
No.
I'm also in facilitation.
No, you made an announcement to the group.
Okay, point of process. We have a moderator. We have a process. This is a dialogue between the both of you.
Point of process.
Take it out.
This is a point of process. My question is.
A question is not a point of process, Ben.
Okay,
Excuse
please
me.
stop.
This is a question.
Please stop.
That's a
Excuse
question.
me.
We have to.
That's a point of process for
We have
you.
process questions. That is what I'm here for. But we do not need the entire general assembly for me to answer your process questions.
Hey Ben, who's next on stack?
That is not.
I don't want to be. Understood.
How about it, Kathy?
Point of process. I
Good
have
night.
a question regarding the General Assembly process that was just described here last night, just now. So, go back to your seat.
Hands up.
Hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up, please.
Thank
Hell
you.
the fuck no.
Hell
Hell
back
no.
up.
Never again.
Please stop. Stop.
Do I get to ask a question? or not?
During the question stack, after the discussion, we will have a
Play the
question
process
stack.
and be quiet.
No. My question is about the process.
Then accept the tutoring on the process and leave it out of
That's
the
what it's
tutor.
for.
That's what I'm here for.
I want it done in public.
Temperature check on this being done in public. Fingers down if you want it done privately. The group is highly outnumbered.
Looks to me like it was a tie.
Would you like us to count?
I would like to take a vote.
We don't vote.
We don't vote.
Follow the
We don't
process.
vote? I thought this was a horizontal democracy.
Yeah, it is.
Mic
Mike
check!
Mike check!
Mike check! I am the moderator.
He is the moderator.
Questions will be addressed to me.
Questions
or my
will be addressed to
co-moderator
me.
in facilitation. If you do not like the way we do things, gladly leave. This is the way we do it. If you would like to be informed on process, how we do that to avoid interrupting GA is to have a tutor to the side. If you don't like that, we recognize your process and say the answer is no. We're not
You
listening
haven't
to
heard my
it.
question.
We are going on to Kathy, and that is what we're doing.
Hey, brother, we
Kathy.
heard your question, but we can't just toss it.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
I'm really nervous.
She's
Really
If you heard my
nervous.
question, you'd know.
Hey, do not.
Hey.
Go! Back up! Personal space!
Sorry, Kathy.
I had someone
January
stand in my
11th?
face, blocking my view.
January 11th.
Call went out to participate in a San
I
Diego
can't hear what
County
this woman's saying.
Strategic something committee. Planning meeting. Thank you. I thought this was a wonderful opportunity for me to get my feet wet in this wonderful, wonderful endeavor of Occupy San Diego. From that point on, it was all downhill. The only way I could participate was through John Kenny's gatekeeper method of information. I asked him for us to have a landscape where we could communicate with each other about what our potential plans could be using a blog, WordPress, Google Groups. He said, whatever you want, set it up. I said, and I asked him, you have all of the email addresses? So if I set it up, you're going to have to be the person to facilitate that. Some of them, I wasn't able to go to all of the meetings, and when I asked him for the agenda and notes, he said he would email them to me. That was never forthcoming. Oh God, I'm scared. Some of the meetings I went to, there were only 4 people. Quorum was 3. It was a 66% consensus. It was terrible because I never, January 4th,
I set up a Google group for this February 4th committee. John Kenny became a member, and I asked him if he would post any information on that. Dead silence. The day that he said that we got Centro de la Raza for February 4th, I went over there. I was so excited. It's part of my old history. I went over there, walked in, and I said, I thank you very much. May I see the kitchen, and where's the bathroom? And she said, I don't know what you're talking about. Some people from Occupy came to our they have a process and a committee, and she said they came and spoke with us. They haven't even filled out an application yet. This is all narrative, but I do have the Google group set up on the 24th that has never been posted anything except for my initial post, which was the original call out for this committee to be put in process. When I realized that there was a lack of transparency and accurate information, I went to the GA notes for January the 7th. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm all my mind slides. Our committee was set up that if any time I'm paraphrasing, violated transparency, it was no longer legitimate.
Yeah.
I know, that's it, I'm really not.
Thank you. Guys, we only get 2 minutes per stack. Pay attention to John. He's going to tell you when you're done. When he tells you you're done, wrap it up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're mistaken for the
Fish.
approval wave.
Fish.
It's true.
Fish.
He's right here. He's right here.
Okay, back with the Rose Bowl parade. It was the it was the beginning of the inner Occupy. It was get everyone together. There were 3 of us that were sent up there to kind of stop him from doing what he was doing, and I couldn't find the GA. So I come to GA and I see John Kenny sitting down telling everyone that 1, San Diego has places that we can camp. 2, that we are more than willing to have an inner Occupy down here. 3, that we had already consensed that we were going to have this and get this done. We hadn't done that at all. And I came back that night kind of bummed out. I hadn't done what I was supposed to go up there and do, but that's what I wanted to say. So thank you.
James?
Okay, I'm going to just go over a few things. Hopefully some people will fill in some of the other stuff regarding the Strategic Planning Committee, which was formed on, I believe, January 7th. I was here for that meeting. Because that committee was formed and the GA consents to allow it to form with a lesser standard of consensus process at 66%, there was a long discussion and proviso that there needed to be transparency and that decisions from that committee had to come back to the GA. That did not happen regarding the Strategic Planning Summit and demonstrates one example of a pattern of lack of transparency and seeking to use process as a rubber stamp. Second, I want to mention the surveillance incident that happened at several people's houses. John Kenny was photographed surveilling outside the house that several occupiers live in, that people meet in, that food is cooked in. When confronted with this, and I witnessed that confrontation, he had no legitimate excuse. The only thing he said when pressed was he thought he saw something suspicious in the garage downstairs.
Now, the people who live in that house, some of whom are here, said that the garage was not opened and has no connection with them. When he was confronted on this later in GA last Friday, he said he had gotten out of his car when he took those pictures. When I pointed out to him that he was sitting in his car with his camera and photographed with his camera looking up at a window, his response was, there was a blimp in the air. John has repeatedly shown a pattern of not just dismissing concerns, but showing contempt for being challenged.
Next on stack.
Amir, could I ask a point of process on this, please? And I thank James for the, I'm going to call it testimony because that's a habit. I would ask folks who are giving what I would call evidence to restrict themselves to something where they were present. I would ask James, were you present when he was photographing or videotaping the premises in question?
Point of process, that is not actually a point of process. I do understand that you are a lawyer and your legal background is making you want to look at this like it is an impeachment of sorts and actually a trial.
No.
And your request for evidence is matching that.
I asked James a question. It's a legitimate thing to do. I'm asking James if he was present during the incident he described.
That's a point of clarification.
Okay.
If the moderator is okay with us jumping process,
I'm actually not. That's question stack. When you have a question, it'll come up in question stack. For now, this is testimony.
Ben, would you like a sheet of paper to make a note of your questions for stack?
No, I can.
May I ask moderator for 10 additional seconds?
Let's just get into the question stack.
Okay.
Amir? Alright. This is an incident that happened in the third week of occupation. It was a proposal. I was considering making a proposal to the GA that demands City Council makes non-police liaison for us. Basically, we go to City Council instead of them sending police down here. I collected some email addresses, and John came around and looked at it and then said, can I take a picture of it? And I said, no, because the people who put down their email over there, I'm not sure if they want a picture, you to have their email. He took a picture of it anyway. That's the first incident I had. After that, I did not talk to John at all. I avoided him completely. That's one. I have seen John assigned.
Do we have a timeout while the sirens are going so we can hear you? I apologize, but I couldn't. Once the sirens started, I couldn't hear it. Okay. Could you go back a step to start your second point over again? Because I didn't hear you.
I haven't made my second point.
Huh?
I didn't make my second point, but okay. The second point, the second thing is that in planning of the Solidarity March with Egypt, the day that happened the day after the flag was confiscated, John basically assigned based on gender, sex actually. I said assigned based on sex. What people should do that they were present in the committee, and after he was told that you're making this into a show demonstration, he just dismissed it. He didn't address it. This is very important when we say, oh, let's have a woman hold the candle, organize a candlelight vigil. That's another point. In a finance committee, I have seen him basically record people. I asked him multiple times, okay, can you not record me? And he said, I can do whatever I want. This is my legal right. Completely dismissing the idea of, yeah, we're over here consensually and we should be mindful of other people's concerns. I was there on the Friday meeting that we were, last Friday.
We're out of time. Just get back on stack.
Sorry. I have a lot to put back on
Put it back on stack.
Okay. Todd.
So in the very first week of the occupation, I was on the process committee. It was, of course, a very formative. I was on the process committee in the first week of the occupation. We were meeting for up to 5 or 6 hours a day. We had a meeting at 10 that would go until 2 or even 3. And then again during the normal committee meeting time. And much of that first week was taken up by the rest of us trying to keep John from taking over. He kept making decisions and saying, so that's what we're going to do. And then it took quite a long time to stop that. We had to remove him as moderator. And then there was an emergency General Assembly meeting called on October 13 at noon. This was, I think, the day after the signs with the cops. And during this GA, he ended up being removed as moderator. That's on YouTube. Some people have seen it. I think that's all I have to say. But so this dates from the very first week of the occupation. There's been a pattern of obstruction and subversion.
Will? All right. So there was one instance in Finance Committee when we were meeting over at Ewok Village over here, and where we were talking about the MLK parade. He put on the agenda that he wanted to get $75 to get a spot in the MLK parade. And, but we met a guy just like literally 10 minutes earlier, Geraldo, some of you may know him from Occupamos del Barrio, who was trying to come to events committee to talk to people about the parade plan. And we sort of told him to come over here to talk more about this since he knew more. And we asked him, are you good with funding? Because, I mean, that's what Finance Committee cares about. And he said, yeah, I got the check in my pocket. But John then sort of continued on his stack, still trying to get the money from us. And he was requesting it for himself so he could go give it to the people. And all of the rest of us were just saying, hold up, we already handled this problem. The march has been paid for. We don't need to do anything. And it's not even our event. It's Occupamos del Barrio's. So, and he just sort of continued on, but then we dismissed it and said, no, this is done. So that's just one instance where he sort of tried to deal with the money sort of not very well. Oh, he also, for quite some time, when we, right after the first raid here with the tents, he started holding on to the money that we had. And at one point he said he had almost $900. He only gave us back about $600, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you both. Jenny.
John Kenny has sent out multiple planning emails with the signature OSD consenter. I yield.
Was it Madison? Yeah.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, I've been living with Gonzo for the past, 2 weeks. And to address the concerns brought up when James spoke, I was there the day that John Kenny was taking photos and recording near Gonzo's house. It was my camera that the photos of him taking photographs were taken on. He was in his car at the time the photographs were taken. I have photographic evidence. It is online, I believe.
Actually, it's on my computer in an email, and I have those. I definitely do have those pictures, just not online. I'm going to see if I can open the file, though, if anybody wants to see them.
And so when he was taking the photos, his answer, I was also there when Gonzo confronted him about the photography and the recording, and he stated that he thought there was something funny going on in the garage. I was at the house at that time. The garage was closed. There was no one on the street. So I don't know what he could have seen that was funny. Also, in reference to the blimp, which I was not there for that part of the conversation, but others have documented that he said that airplanes fly directly over Gonzo's house. That's airspace for those airplanes. There's no way a blimp would have been there. They fly over the house every, what, 10 minutes?
90 seconds. Every 90 seconds.
So, yeah. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. I yield.
Melissa, you want to go?
Yes. I hate standing up. A lot of things that everybody said, luckily cover a lot of it. Since the beginning, there was the immediate attempt to take over facilitation. Back then it was GA process, and that's why we left you guys to fight it, because back then I did not want to deal with it. Multiple attempts throughout, like, there has never been a functional committee that John has actually been a part of in a really participatory role, unless there was a specific event going on or a specific action going on or a specific thing going on that he wanted to get his hands on. He's never made a facilitation meeting. He only attended the F11 planning meeting because he was informed that his announcement to the world that the strategic planning summit committee, whatever that he asked us to form for the F4 event and the monthly countywide events, he tried to plan the InterOccupy thing, the InterOccupy summit for Saturday without contacting events, with outside of the charter of that committee. So many things there. There's the initial money where, even by his own accounts of how much donations he had gotten when the tents got taken, he should have had 900. Only about 600 made it back to finance, but those are only by his account, because at that time he would let no one else hold the money, touch the money, carry the money, verify the money, none of it, for it was weeks. And Saturday, when Pat from finance and the female Pat, who I don't believe I've seen tonight, went to get the donation jug and were counting the money to verify what donations had been gathered at last Saturday's event, like 2 days ago, he pulled the $59 out of the donation jar, took it out of finance's hand, pocketed it, and told them, well, this is for my event, right? Or for my committee, right? And left with it. He does not have even that committee's consensus to do that. And it is a blatant theft from this organization. Again.
Thank you. Amir?
Just a clarification, I did get that money back from him. And it went to finance.
Saturdays?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Amir.
Continuing on Friday, okay, this is a pattern of double dealing. He tries to pit members of Occupy against each other. He encourages people to bypass the process, and he basically, in that regard, he creates conflict within the Occupy. I can give an example of there was they wanted to rush a statement on the immigration and ICE rates right through the GA without doing 24-hour notice to the people, and that created a little bit of a conflict. He tells members of his committee, and maybe Josh can explain this better. He tells members of his committee that GA already approved something when it hasn't happened, and then he tells the GA that we decided this in the committee and this committee consented to it and you need to agree with it, and then this creates a conflict, because if you like, I understand people based on his ideas, based on what he said, they prepare for something and they get ready for something that it's outside the process, and we need to bring it back into the process. It will lead into conflict. So I yield.
Can I say one more thing, or is that inappropriate?
PJ, can you get her back on track?
Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Amir. Yeah, we're going to try to give this.
Briefly.
Okay. Not yet, but yes.
Okay.
Chirac?
I'll go after her actually.
Tito.
Already talked, Sharon.
Tito.
Stefan's already talked once.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've had multiple problems with them, whether it's personal or Occupy related, but mostly Occupy related. A lot of people have covered those areas, but one thing I wanted to clarify about the Martin Luther King attempt of the money, he was basically bringing in a receipt from another Occupy into this Occupy to cash out. And Geraldo, I spoke to him a couple of days ago about this. He said if it's needed, he will come and speak to the people about it as well. And I yield.
Can you clarify? So are you saying he's bringing receipts from something from like which group?
I can't pronounce it. I'm very
Occupy
bad.
Maso Barrio?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
it's something related to that he's bringing here to get reimbursed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another incident recently was he brought in a gas receipt for something that he had the right to be reimbursed for gas, but it was a flat $50 receipt. And I called him on it that I can walk to a register and tell them I want to put $50 on number 2, go pump $10 and ask them for a receipt. Go pump $10, go back, get the change, but I still have that $50 receipt. And when I called him on that, he stuttered and he said, I think I got $1.25 back. But I mean, every penny counts. So, I yield.
Thank you, Shrock. Tito.
I personally have never really had any serious issues with him personally myself. I actually like some of the things he's done. I just don't like the things that, or the ways that he's gone about it.
Speak up.
Speak up.
Mic check. Hello.
No, mic check means.
Talk louder. Okay, hello. So, my name is Tito. I'm talking about fucking this guy already. Still, never really had any problems with him, but or what he's done, except for the deaths and other things like that. But like except for the problem of how he's gone about the things personally. So that's like I'm giving some kind of credit to the guy. Not for nothing. Devil's advocate. Even when it comes to a situation when I come home. Gonzo's apartment is also my apartment, so my roommate and Aston was there, and they told me and showed me evidence of him taking photographs of the house, and the way he goes about things is just not right. I was there when my roommate asked him what was going on with that. He asked him cordially. He didn't want to. He evaded questions and evaded answering anything, and just started walking away. He's been told to come to Planet GAs so that way we can discuss it. He's been told that we're trying to come to a final thing about it. He's been questioned, but he doesn't answer anything over and over. And I'm repeating that because this is what he does. So it's not like he doesn't know all the facts and evidence. He's questioned on it. He doesn't want to answer him. He says in personal attacks that whatever someone just said is complete bullshit. So. It's a question of what he's doing and why, and he doesn't like to answer it. So, coming to a conclusion of what we're going to do with that is what we should do today, finally, so that we can move on to more important things that have to do with Occupy rather than this. Yeah, boom, boom. Perfect. Exactly what I want to say. I yield.
Tracy. All right. Give me a little bit of sore throat. All right. I'm going to come here, not just as somebody you know me from here, but I'm coming here officially as someone from Occupy Encinitas.
Tracy, can you get louder?
I'm coming here as someone who's officially here from Occupy Encinitas, as an individual from Occupy Encinitas. Okay? I'm going to come here and say, I'm going to put all my patriarchal personal bullshits aside and just say the fact of the matter is this group, what Inter-Occupy was doing was misrepresented to our group. It was represented as if there was a mandate from this. I'm currently working to try to dispel this notion. And he's been up to our group, and he made a number of our people so nervous they gave him fake email addresses. And I'm a little bit concerned because we have some extremely amazing, hardworking, disabled, and older people that are a little bit more vulnerable they're not going to be able to ever get down here to know exactly what's going on. I myself used to come down, but I've been very sick. So, but to me, the misrepresentation is a fraud. And to me, anybody who commits fraud in the name of Occupy doesn't deserve to be a part of Occupy, no matter what kind of friggin' fraud it is. That's all I gotta say.
Kathy.
I can only use John's own postings. There was a meeting here for Occupy for the 4th. We met over here. It was a really rainy day. There was many unhoused people in the area. He was moderator. He brought the agenda. He was a moderator. He was also taking notes, and he was filming everything. There was some personality flashing back and forth the way we sometimes do. You fucka, you fucka. Yeah, life goes on. But there was somebody who was unhoused who was very, very unstable, who came over and started becoming very assertive. And we asked John as a moderator if we could take 5, step back, take some time. And he refused, and then he made a very, very loud statement and said this man is dangerous and violent, and called the police over to take this person away. Next day, he posted on Occupy the Barrio, the Google group, which is a closed group, that incident. And at that point in time, he said various things. I printed that out and I brought it here. And in that posting on Occupy the Barrio, I found out that my fellow occupier is a plant. Also, he posted bits and pieces of that on YouTube, so I got the paper trail.
Thank you, Deb. I'm the plant.
Awesome.
Ben? Not here. No, other Ben. Anybody else on staff?
Other Ben?
Other Ben.
Are we done?
Ben.
I just want to
Ben is on staff.
Sorry, my bad.
Other Ben.
Other Ben.
Just to speak to the obstructionist nature of what we've been dealing with, during Friday's GA, when it became apparent to all of us that he was working in a non-horizontal democracy procedure to bring someone down to speak to us during the Saturday's event, the GA came to a process in which to fix this and come to some sort of an arrangement within the GA process to fix the whole, what we all consider to be a screw up. And when it was point blank put to John, this mimics your proposal in so many ways. It's so close. We're just fine tuning it, and you're still hard blocking it.
Yeah.
You're still not letting it move forward. Why? And he could not give us an answer. This is his own person that he had coming to the event to speak said this was done in a non-transparent way. We got him on the phone. You should have seen it. We were all huddled around a cell phone over here. It was awesome. But when point blank put to him, it's so close to what you're already doing. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, man. And we could get no answer. I yield.
Ben?
Oh, yeah, thanks. Before I present anything that I want to present, is Cisco here? I saw him a minute ago.
Right here.
Cisco, oh, there he is. Would you mind testifying about the incident you described to me at Horton Plaza?
Okay, sure. We were sitting there having one of the planning committees.
Yeah, what is this in regards to? Is this a complaint about John Kenny?
Well, I'm requesting this testimony.
That's great, but you're not moderating. Is that evidence towards John Kenny?
It has to do with the foundation for what I'm going to say, and I'm on the list.
Why don't you just say what you gotta say?
Because it would be hearsay. I would like the person
Are you ceding your stack to Cisco? Yeah.
No.
So say what you want to say.
Then I'm asking. Yeah, I will concede my stack to Cisco. I'll sign up again. Take my place.
Well, I don't know what to say. What do you want me to say?
Just tell them what happened.
What happened on Horton Plaza? So
yeah.
Well, we were there having a committee meeting, a planning for the county. We were having a county summit planning committee, and he walked by, and John told me that was his lawyer, but I had walked away from him. He didn't know why. So I presented that to him last night. Why are you here? Because you're never here. And all of a sudden you're here and John's not here when it concerns him. Because John told me he had represented him before. So I was concerned about why he was here doing the hard block when nobody else would. And that's all. That's all. John told me he was had represented him prior. And that's all.
Thank you.
How much time is left on his stack?
Minute, roughly.
Okay. Well, based on what Cisco has said, I'm just here to tell everybody I have never represented John Kenney in any matter. I do not represent him now. He's never requested me to represent him in any matter, past, present, or future. So if he said that to, if he said that to Cisco, time out. Do I still have time left? Huh?
On stack for evidence against John.
I'm testifying. I'm testifying that I have never represented him. Therefore, what he told Cisco was either a basic misunderstanding on his part or a lie.
Yeah, he was lying.
Yeah, I would just like to make a motion that we do a temperature check on if people think that we've arrived at a point of enough evidence to go ahead and take a vote on this. And if not, people want to continue to like voice their testimony, that's fine. But I think it seems like we could probably take a vote and get this passed right now. So,
all right, temperature check.
So temperature check, and if it looks good, then I would motion that we vote on the proposal.
Moderator. Point of information, there's one more person on stack.
Yeah.
Let him go.
Sorry.
Even though you say you never represented him, you visited him in the jail, right?
I did. Oh, thank you for reminding me. Yes, the only thing I've ever done in my capacity as a lawyer was the night he was arrested here. I visited him in jail. It's called a professional visit. My purpose, essentially, was to try to convince him to end his fast. It had nothing to do with representing him. We didn't discuss representation. And I guess Mike has left, but I took Mike Garcia with me, so he's my witness. That essentially the basic thing I talked about with John is, John, this fast of yours is getting absolutely no media attention whatsoever. The only people who know about it are the people you're telling in Occupy. You know, you could injure your health. Stop it. It isn't worth doing. And Mike was present. Mike had other things to talk to him about. I snuck Mike in as my paralegal.
Okay, last person on stack.
Thank you. All right. So I'm going to keep this short as I can. The surveillance incident that has been documented is not the first time John Kenney has been caught surveilling the apartment where we cook food and sleep and stuff like that. 2 weeks ago, right before the DC trip, I was sitting at the house with Gonzo. I happened to look outside, and John Kenney was standing at the bus stop across from the apartment with his camera in hand. I called Gonzo over, and I said, "Hey, that sure as hell looks like John Kenney to me." And he goes, "Yes, that's John Kenney." Once John Kenney realized that we had saw him, covered his face and walked all the way around the block just to get back to his car. So that's the first incident. The second incident has to do with specifically John Kenney trying to get others to work outside of the GA process. When the February 11th action was first announced by the event committee, we hadn't planned anything yet, but we had announced it. When John Kenney got permission to form the San Diego County Summit, he took it upon himself to also organize the February 11th Southern California Social Forum. That was outside of process, and when I told him that, he got very upset. So I got with the rest of the events committee, and we did what we were supposed to do according to process and planned an event. Once John Kenney realized that we were planning an event as an official Occupy San Diego committee, he went ballistic. He called me on my phone, my personal cell phone, and asked me to work with him personally, not as a committee member, personally, to work with him to plan this summit. And when I told him that I refused to work outside of the General Assembly process, he became very irate with me. I had to explain to him that I, as an individual, would not work with any other individual or committee outside of the GA process because it's not what we do at Occupy San Diego. He then told me that since I represent events committee, we could work outside the GA process, and I told him no, in fact, we could not because we are a committee that answers to the General Assembly. So I have been on the receiving end of John Kenney trying to get people to work outside of GA process, so I know for a fact it happens. I yield.
Along those same lines, it was consensus upon by GA to have those two groups come together. That meeting actually happened and was completely tanked and destroyed by one said John Kenney.
Melissa?
I just point of information on that. I have also, prior to the night that the photographs were taken, seen John Kenny at the bus stop across the street from the apartment. And at the time, with nothing else really to go on and the camera not obviously pointed at the apartment, I just thought he was being crazy John Kenny and wrote it off. I think we chuckled about, what the fuck is he doing out here? But we left it at that. So that's like at least 3 times that he's been surveilling that apartment.
All right, I want to give anybody else an option who maybe you didn't think about getting on Stack. Did you have a complaint to air it now? Sure.
About 2 weeks ago, me and this beautiful lady, we were having a conversation, private conversation, and we both caught him voice recording us. He had the device under a clipboard. I yield.
I'm going to take my moderator hat off for a second and just add one thing I haven't heard. A lot of people have mentioned the videotaping of GA and videotaping of personal conversations. The real major issue with that is because, as you can see, we're all being recorded here, is that he refuses to share any of the footage with Occupy or GA or anything. He actually has notes that we are missing for an entire month from the early of the occupation that he refuses on showing us.
And a really big one. A lot of how the General Assembly process became. I was there working with Todd when we were actually forming how General Assembly was going to run. He has all of those notes. To be honest, he knows everything, and I don't want to say bad things about him because I don't really know him as a person. I did work with him. He's not the greatest person to work with, but a lot of how things are run now, he was there kind of telling us how he was the moderator and he was running the show with the agenda items and everything like that. So I just want to say that is a really big thing, because everything about how we sit here, how we began, he has all of that, and he helped shape all of that because he was very loud in all of it. Just
point of information on that. The reason that this General Assembly runs on a process that is so different from the other occupations that you'll visit is because of kind of the compromise that had to be made at a point, because we were trying to follow Wall Street and we were trying to stay on that process. And I know the GA Process Committee wanted to do that. That didn't happen. It went one way, and in the attempt to get it back, we landed somewhere in the middle.
Sorry, that was way off track. We need to get back to the grievances against John Kenny.
Actually,
those are grievances.
Now it's time for questions. Now actually it's time for a temperature check. Who wants to take this exactly straight to a vote? Who would rather still talk questions and concerns? We'll be first, this is the temperature check to see who wants to take it to a vote.
Did I motion? It looks like the temperature check is in favor.
Wait, you can't jump the moderator, my friend.
All right. Anybody who would like to still have their questions and concerns addressed? We're going to questions, not concerns. Specific questions based on the proposal or any evidence that someone has put forth. If you're going to ask a question about evidence, make it directly to that person, and only that person can respond.
Okay, question stack. Open for a minute.
We're going to leave this open, actually. We're not even going to put a time on it. If you happen to get a question while we're all talking, you want to get a stack, just tell PJ.
Raise your hand for PJ. Hold it up until PJ gets you.
Questions. Here's a question. Here's a question.
So that'll be the next one.
Just questions.
Just remind him not to skip.
Okay.
I don't really know who to ask this, but I have two. One, does anybody have anything nice to say about John? Just so that I, don't feel bad about this.
I do.
You have nice hair.
You're not.
Okay, that was one question. So, and two, we have asked him to come and be present so that we could discuss this with him, and he's just hasn't shown up, right?
I'll address the second question. Absolutely, multiple times. He was directly told on Friday that we would be having this discussion on Sunday until it was finished. It got tabled till today.
Because he wasn't here on Sunday?
Just because of the way, because it actually got hard blocked. Is why, and we had to bring up the conversation again tonight. Okay. But he was absolutely told to be here. He absolutely knows.
Yesterday and today?
Curtis, where you at?
Yeah, actually, as to the
process,
question,
actually. Is this a violation of process, or do you need clarification on a question?
It's
a question of process.
Excuse me, dude. This lady asked a question. I'm answering.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Guys, if you have a process, I don't want to hear that you have a process. Put your hand up and wait to be addressed. Stop interrupting the person who is talking. Simple as that. We'll address your process when he's done talking. That's fine. And we'll address it when he's done talking.
This
That's it.
turn out well.
Curtis.
All right, so basically, the one good thing I would have to say is that those things, even though planned around and against the against the process and done in a really slimy, snaky, corrupt kind of manner, that said, all things, it's completely separate from the fact that the whole county, San Diego County Interact thing actually went over pretty well. The problem was never once with his ability to plan things. The problem was his approach and how he managed and how he kind of tries to micromanage and overpower other people's voices and process with blatant disregard and disrespect for the collective viewpoints. So
I'm gonna have to add one point of information to that. Is a lot of the reason that it went so well is because people did damage control.
Yeah,
Bob Filner would have showed up if people didn't do damage control, and certain things would have went bad. So that wasn't John does have good ideas, but that went so well because of people jumping in and doing damage control.
Yeah, that and once he was at that, there was a point where he was kind of like, once we did kind of call out that whole situation and we were consensus on in our GA process that the events committee and people from strategic planning, whatever, would actually get together and work on this thing to make sure that it's like actually processed. He had like a humble moment and actually let us all work together on the big thing. So like that was cool. But for as long as it lasted.
Next on stack. No, Ben, I have a question.
Yeah, so we're talking good stuff about John, and I'd like to say that John has done just a hell of a lot of work on behalf of this movement. He's been one of the most active people. He has contributed in a positive way on numerous occasions. Some of the committees that I was on, that he was on, I felt that he was very productive. Although I will say, there was the committee that ended up being called the Negotiation Committee, where he was doing good work, and Mike Garcia was doing good work, and a whole lot of people were doing good work. And I will say that he actually did try to dominate that committee, but he did it using the process. Which is different than other people. But no, I mean, there was this, I actually tried to get more active on that committee, and I sort of felt that he was blocking me from getting more active. So a little positive, a little negative. But he has done a hell of a lot of work, and I really wish he were here to defend himself. That's all I can say about that.
Chase.
Yeah. Good question. Yeah, I do have a question. My question is this a lifetime thing that gets done, or is there a time limit? I'm just wondering about the specifics of the possibility of it.
The question kind of goes first to the post.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody can bring a proposal saying that he is within our confidence again.
Okay, cool. That's all I wanted. Thank you. Ben.
Yeah, what I did? I thought they called up.
Don't worry. Ben, your questions.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was being tutored, I think, and I didn't hear what Curtis had to say. So Curtis is still.
He said he's very good at planning.
No, I'll listen. I'll listen later on. I just want to hear what you said because I didn't get to hear it. But that wasn't your fault. That was I was being tutored. I was being tutored.
Oh,
no, you don't have to repeat it. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, yeah, I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
think he has another question.
I must tell you, a lot of my questions have already been answered. I didn't understand this thing about a $75 check. Could you explain it again? You know, I just didn't understand what it was all about.
Yeah. Essentially, he continued to try to get $75 from Finance Committee for Occupamos El Barrio, even though the $75 issue was already handled by Occupamos El Barrio, but he still kept trying to get that money.
Even after it was explained?
Yeah, even after it was explained publicly, literally right before he continued talking about it.
I witnessed it too.
There was like several witnesses.
So you were there?
Yeah, I was there. Pat was there. Chirac was there. Martha was there. Yeah.
And
Harold.
John Garcia.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd like to ask Chirac. You said you got the $59 back from him?
Total $115, and then I added $1 on there. Another occupier.
Did he say anything about why he had that money? What, did he say anything when he had it? I'm sorry. Ooh, I'm not accused of that much. What, if anything, did he say when you got the money back from him? What did he say? Did you confront him with something?
It went through a third party get the money back. I told him it will be beneficial for his health to give up the money.
And did that person ever tell you, did he say anything in that process before giving back the money?
Or he just reached in his pocket and took the money?
I'm still from
Thanks. And Tito?
Tito, he's behind you.
Right behind you.
Tito.
Right there.
So everybody.
What?
Yo, Tito. When you confronted him, when you described, you talked about when you confronted him.
I did?
Yeah. At the end of.
Gonzo, my roommate.
Oh, Gonzo confronted. Were you present?
I was present.
Okay.
I was present.
When he was confronted with that, what, if anything, did he say?
I said that when I was on stack. So you didn't hear what I said on stack.
What did he? What? I didn't hear that.
When confronted about why he was filming the house, he said, "I thought there was something funny going on in the garage over there."
At first he denied it. And then when it finally showed him photos, he was like, "Oh, well, I was taking pictures of the garage. I was across the next door, basically."
He also asserted it was his right when he was confronted with photographic evidence.
Okay.
Actually, at the end of that conversation from John Kenny, and I quote, "Fuck off, Gonzo."
And then he walked away.
Okay. And this is a question to everybody.
I have a question for you.
No.
I have a question for you.
Question
too.
stack
Okay.
for a
I
reason.
have a couple of questions.
Question stack is still open. Guys, go see PJ.
Yeah. This is a question for everybody, since I don't know the answer. I've seen the photographs of him photographing, and Madison explained to me that Gonzo's house is across the street from 1901 First Avenue, where there are a lot of attorneys' offices, and that he went in with a box and came out and so on. My question is, does anybody know where John lives, with respect to any of the attorneys in the building, does anybody know if he has any relationship with any of those attorneys, such as that he would have business being there? And the question goes to, does anybody know if John had any business being there?
We asked him. He didn't want to answer.
Actually,
then
on Friday in GA,
Yeah.
he asserted that he was there visiting Brian Pierce.
Brian Peace?
Or Brian Peace. Does he have his office in that building?
Well, I don't know. Does anybody know
But
if
he
Brian
did
Peace
assert
is...
on Friday he was visiting an attorney in that building.
If anybody's online, I'll look it up.
What he said on Friday was that our attorneys he has a lawsuit against the city about something, and he was visiting them. He said nothing about Brian Peace.
Okay.
The last address I have for Brian Pease is up on Washington Street.
Point of information.
Just guys, real quick, what he was doing in that building has no bearing on what he was doing recording outside of it into the apartment elevated across the street.
Thank you. Did
Just
you hear that?
those two things.
No, I didn't hear it because I got the answer. Okay. Well, no, I just got the answer to my question here.
What he's doing in a building has no bearing on what he's doing outside of a building as it relates to another person's dwelling.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
And the answer to my question is somebody handed me Brian Pease's business card. His address is 302 Washington Street, 92103, which for those of you who are not familiar with San Diego is probably 2 miles away from the location that he was photographed.
Right here
it says
different.
Really?
Okay. And as another point of information, John Kenny's address, as listed on the citation that he received for the horn blowing that he gave us publicly, is on Saratoga Avenue in OB. So that's nowhere close to that neighborhood.
Point of information.
His contact information is 1901 First Avenue.
Okay. So, Brian Pease, you say. And where did you get that?
Homepage of Brian Pease.
Okay. So that answers my question. All my questions. Thank you.
What's next?
Okay, next up.
There's a point of information right here, real quick.
Is that for Brian Pease?
Or
City
a
Council
clarification?
campaign, the 1901. Because I have his business card and it lists as Washington Avenue. However, he has launched a city council campaign, so he's starting campaign offices. I get the posts. So that's why I'm the only reason I'm asking.
When did you get the card, Tracy?
I've had the card since October. Late October. Whatever the rain started.
Okay.
All right, who's next on stack?
John Canton.
So my question is a general question, so anybody feel free to ask it. I'm just gonna let the first person who raises their hand answer. My question is essentially this: how detrimental is it to this particular branch of Occupy Wall Street to allow John Kenny to keep subverting the process? Consul, I saw your hand first.
Every night for the last 2 weeks in GA, so on and so forth, on Facebook, on Twitter, on the web. All we're freaking talking about is John Kenny. We're not doing a damn thing.
Thank you.
We're not occupying the corporations. We're not at the banks. We're not planning events.
Right.
All John Kenny all the time. It's like a freaking cable channel.
Yeah.
Change the fucking channel.
Yes. Is that good, John? That's it. Okay, thank you. Jaleesa.
My question was actually sort of answered. It was in regards to the retrieving of the money. Chirac, it's directed towards you a bit. I'm just making it known what I was going to ask. Chirac. My question was kind of answered because Ben asked it in a certain form, and it was going to be how you actually had to take the money from, like how was it transferred back into your hands? And so it was kind of addressed that it was like threat. Yeah, but I guess since I don't have a question, I will cede my question stack for someone else who wants to jump it.
Wait, my question is being directed to him?
No, this is for questions regarding the issue of John Kenny and the evidence against
Questions
him.
about what's been said so far.
Huh?
Questions about what's been said so far.
Yeah.
I guess my question would be if to say like what else is unclear about this that needs to be addressed so that way we can move on from this. I agree.
He's asking what else.
I've been saying this from for a while. I don't want this that's why I wanted this issue to be done with. That's why a lot of people wanted this issue to be done with. So we can move on with this process and going on into more important issues rather than this. And I also have said and given the benefit of doubt to John Kenny, and I've also said that he's done good work. I don't deny that. I just say that he's done it in a roundabout wrong way. You know, and so that's really what the problem is. And I would suggest a friendly amendment, even though that's out of process of what I'm saying right now. I don't care. But I think it should be maybe a probationary period where he could probably work his way back into the quote-unquote community or whatnot.
Rehabilitation.
Right, because I don't want to be just like the system and block somebody out. If we're fighting against that someone that has a felon can't vote for a presidency, I mean, that's kind of the same thing we're gonna do if we do that to him fully, like outright like that. So I say there should be a way of getting him back in at one point or whatever, right? That's if someone suggests it. I mean, like, you know, what if no one wants to do that? Because it could be also held as a popularity contest. This doesn't just, so in a way, reason I'm thinking about that is more than just John Kenny. That could be you, could be him, could be me, something like that. So, you know, it's a whole bigger thing than just that. And that's why I'm here. I'm not looking at the small picture. I'm here at Occupy to look at the big picture. So let's get this little thing out of the way so we can move on to real Occupy fucking problems, so we can address and change things legitimately. So that's why we want to handle this tonight. So,
Chirac question. Okay, Cisco question.
No, it would be out of process. I wanted to ask him if he was a joint himself.
Oh, yeah, can I ask a question from an occupier? Oh, yeah, there were people who had questions for me, so if we're at that point, I'm ready.
Yeah, you're a lawyer, you've helped out Occupy. I recognize you off and on. Wait, we're not going to get that off topic, please. What? What I would like to know, with all the arrests that has happened, how many occupiers have you helped in the court process? And if you have, was it pro bono or did you get paid?
No, I think that's legit because it's a question regarding my statement that I haven't represented him.
Yeah.
So
he's the moderator.
No.
Yeah, no, that's it for questions.
You want to address the questions separately, fine.
Yeah, address it
privately.
Okay.
All right. Who has concerns? We're opening the concern stack.
Somebody else has a question.
Okay. Okay, Ron, you can start. I'm going to start here and go this way.
Concerns? How do you address concerns?
You have 2 minutes and just this.
Oh, okay. John came to me when I was mending a guy's ankle, and he wanted to know what my capacity was, and he said that he was. He came across as though that he was kind of like a man of influence, and he asked me where I got my training, and I told him. And he asked me who was one of my best instructors, and I told him Professor Warfield at Princeton Divinity School, and he said he knew Professor Warfield. The reason why I think it's really kind of problematic with me, because I told my wife about this incident, is that Professor Warfield died in 1968. So I found it really difficult for me to accept that John Kenny knew anything about Professor Warfield in 1968. A huge thing with all of us, and it's not just me and my wife, is that when I find out that a person hasn't been truthful with me, I lose the credibility of that person from that time forth. So when this happened with me, it's hard for me to accept anything coming from that person in the future, is that he's being honest with me. That's what happened with John. John lost credibility with me because he said that he knew at Princeton Divinity School in 1968, Professor Warfield. It's impossible.
I'm sorry, but we already addressed actual evidence toward John. This is a concern about the actual proposal.
Can I ask Ron a question?
Off topic, off GA, without a doubt, you can ask a question.
No, it's actually a question to everybody. Does anybody know John's date of birth? No. Or how old he is?
Yeah.
And even if we did, it's not up to us to get that.
Huh?
February 21st, 1960.
Okay.
So he would have been 8.
That's interesting. Good.
William Johnson.
William Johnson.
Third.
Okay.
About the proposal.
Say it
Just
again.
the bullet points. Okay. Let me get back to it.
Yeah, he's about
Vote
to read it.
of no confidence for John Kenny. Yes. All right. A vote of no confidence would mean that this individual cannot participate nor be included in quorum in any decision-making functions of Occupy San Diego. These include, but are not limited to, Occupy San Diego General Assembly, Occupy San Diego committees, Occupy San Diego working groups, and event planning meetings. If an individual who's gotten a vote of no confidence does actively participate in the process, any decisions made by that group are void. And individuals who have no confidence will not be able to utilize Occupy San Diego property, finances, or media services. However, food, water, and medical services will not be denied if available. And that's it.
Okay, stack's closed. Anybody else?
And the purpose of this stack is?
Concern.
Concern.
APJ.
With the proposal.
Concerns
with the proposal.
Entire problem with John.
We already did that.
I'll post this. If you have online access, you'll be able to view the video. I'll post it to the forum.
I have been observing John for a while and noted his erratic, unusual, and just strange behavior. Personally, I think there's something wrong with the man. This is this may not be the forum to say this, but I don't know where else to say it. I think he's not well. And I am concerned that, just for his heart, I agree with the proposal. I want to see it done. I think that he should be allowed to come, it's maybe a friendly amendment, to come to GA and talk, but not have any responsibility or authority. But I feel like as an inclusive movement, we have a responsibility to everyone to help them and maybe help him in some way to become part of the group, which he doesn't seem to be able to do. And I'm just concerned that we just reject him and send him away. And this doesn't seem that what we want to do. That's not what I want to do. I yield.
Thank you. Tracy.
Listen, I'm going to again speak at this point. I'm going to speak from someone who's been with OENC since the very first GA that Michael Basillas and myself facilitated. So we had a similar problem in our group, and it took us some time, probably about 100 to 120 man hours to deal with, which for a very small group of 20 people is devastating. I understand that this is never going to be perfect. GA is never going to be perfect. Occupy is never going to be perfect, okay? We strive for it, and that's why we're doing this as we're doing this here now. At the same point, paralysis by analysis tends to affect groups like this, where people say we can never do something like that. I'm going to just speak from my own personal experience, that if where my work with Code Pink or any other group caused them discord, I would walk away because I care more about the cause than myself. So I'm afraid, and I'll be honest with you, between this and some other issues that we don't want to bring up right now, I've been watching on the sidelines, Home for the Sick, sitting there saying nothing's getting done. And that's how you look to the rest of the groups. And the other groups are trying to decide how much support they put behind this one, how much networking they do behind this one. It's 3 months. We got to put our big girl panties on, grow up. We might make a mistake. But understand that if a person is really motivated towards social justice, they'll find another avenue. That's all I'm going to say.
I just want to address the general concern. Obviously, a lot of people are interested in this issue. GA is about twice the size it's been for the last couple weeks.
That's what it took to get you back.
Those of you who are not regulars might be aware that those of us who have been recognize the new faces here, and we appreciate seeing you, but wish we might have seen you on some other issues than just this. We are fighting to preserve a movement here, and there are certain people whose cumulative actions several of us feel are disrupting the movement. As inclusive as we want to be, we cannot be a suicidal movement if we want to have success. And inclusiveness becomes suicidal when you express it to the extent to which you refuse to protect your own self-interest. This is about protecting the movement's self-interest. There are obviously quite a few people here who are convinced that somebody has been trying to disrupt the movement. Whether that may be true or not, we can only make an assessment based on as an objective standard as we possibly can, based on what we've heard here today, or what we've heard on Friday, or what we've heard in the several other instances in which people have talked about when concerns about how John Kenney has usurped process, disrupted process, been dishonest about process, been dishonest about his motives, or refused to explain his motives, which have been objectively questionable based on his behavior. At what point can an inclusive movement protect itself from someone who is acting in a way that convinces many within that movement that their only goal is to either grandstand for personal interest or disrupt?
Excellent, Scott.
You guys heard about Occupy Tijuana a lot the first couple of months. I'm sad to say that Occupy Tijuana doesn't exist anymore because there were some people who basically wanted to bring it into the political party for election purposes of this year. This thing could very happen over here, and what happened over there was basically people John Kenney did. And I think we should put down our foot and say no more John Kennyism. We need to stop it.
Okay. My one concern, I'm just addressing a concern of the group. I feel that people think that this is something that's going to be taken lightly, all willy-nilly. Oh, you get no confidence, and you get no confidence. It's not like that. This is very, very serious. This is serious, repeated offenses. This is enough people to have 5 freaking GAs about it. I'm tired of talking about this. I want this handled. My concern is that people think this is all willy-nilly, and no, this is absolutely not. This is after months of repeated offenses and people just being tired of it. We have to protect ourselves, and I just want to address that concern.
I'm on here too. I'm going to go now. I also just want to say that I think that when we're looking at the pluses and minuses of any person's involvement in the movement, you should look at what work they do. And John does a lot of work for us. Like, I've been here since day one doesn't mean anything to me near as much as I put in hours doing these useful things. So I just want to say that he's causing a lot of trouble. But he does work, so yeah, we're not taking this lightly, and I don't want to get rid of somebody lightly at all. But the problem is that if we try to persuade him passively, his natural, he participates and he's willing to take charge and do things. And so our more subtle means of trying to dissuade him from doing that have not worked, and we're still here talking about it, so we got to do something.
More information is that simple fact that infiltrators will most likely do, if not one of the best jobs, the best jobs out there for you in any kind of situation. Just for the simple fact that they want to be in all the little places. Just food for thought, not saying.
Mark?
Yeah, I find it very concerning that we all come here, that we want to like create an alternative and create a peaceful movement, yet we're trying to point fingers at someone and trying to put blame on this one person that he is ruining all of this for us. I think that we all need to remember that we're here for personal responsibility, and that this should encourage you to step forward and maybe take charge in situations. Like on Saturday, he tried to tell me what sign to make, and I made the sign I wanted to make still. I didn't let him co-opt me or my movement. It's time to step forward, take responsibility for our own movement, be peaceful, and work together. I don't think this is the time for us to sit here for hours and complain about one person. Like, what a pathetic waste of time that we have all wasted. We have intelligent people here with ideas and things that we should be doing, and we have allowed this to happen. We all sat here and had this conversation. John's not even here. He doesn't even care anymore, obviously. He's not here, and we also want to talk about it. That is us allowing him to go off this whole entire night. We could have been doing all sorts of other things, but we want to focus on this. And we don't need a fast track to like oh, let's just kick him out. That's the easy way. We've chosen the hard way and the peaceful way to try to work together and bring people into some sort of community where we work together and we remediate and we mediate these problems and we don't just cut people out.
We have several point of informations. I'm going to add on to one. Is this isn't the first time. We are not. This is not a knee-jerk reaction. No. I'm going to continue talking and not be interrupted.
It's 4 months as of tomorrow. Of a really huge problem that
We are talking about it. How that's a problem. This person continues to abuse our process, steal from us, spy on us, despite multiple times of talking, telling him to stop while he wasn't
I'm sorry,
here.
but I rarely
Wait a minute.
One person at a time, Sharad.
Zenyatta, were you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished.
James.
Martha.
When the whole thing happened with the Inter-Occupy Committee and planning February 11th, mediation was suggested to John. He refused it out
You
of
showed up
hand.
at those meetings and worked with us as a group.
He refused
Not the
mediation.
first
though.
one.
No, we didn't.
The first one.
He showed up to the first one and he refused any mediation with any of the people who were expressing concerns about
Was that
his
the one
working
on the
style.
day of the rally? That was the abortion and reproductive rights rally.
Yes,
Where
yes,
it
it
got
was that day.
interrupted because they went in solidarity with the march. That was my impression of what happened. That's not what happened. That's what someone in GA stood up and said that was their impression. of what
Okay, so as a member of the Empowerment Committee, we tried to resolve these problems as peacefully as possible. Try to bring all the parties together that felt concerned in order to talk out the problems and resolve the issue, you know, outside of GA, outside of other committees, and just try and resolve it, you know, bringing everyone together and talk. He full on rejected the idea that he should be brought down to what he called a counseling session because he thought it was demeaning to himself. He refused to engage in dialogue with other people to resolve problems and because he thought it was demeaning to himself. Like the problem.
Could not moderate, and he was told that he would be singled out and could not moderate those discussions.
That's because the whole point is to have a third-party arbitration occur. You try and have a neutral party facilitate between two opposing parties, which we tried to have done, but that only can work when both parties are willing to sit down together and talk. When you have, for the example, John Kenney refusing to sit down with the people who have problems with him and the actions that he has taken, it is impossible to resolve those issues outside of things like the General Assembly. That is why we are all here today, is because we have failed to find another alternative to deal with this situation other than bringing it up to this extreme measures, like tonight. And the fact is, yeah, I'll stop putting my opinion in, but
Martha.
that's what the fuck happened.
Martha.
Yeah. This last little bit has really gotten to the core of it for me, in that I was very concerned about the original idea that there was going to be this new impeachment process enacted, and that this was going to become, you know, something that Occupy San Diego was going to start going through, you know, whenever issues come up. I'm really glad to hear that there was an attempt, you know, a serious attempt to try to mediate, because that's what my proposal is, you know, to discuss later on tonight, to really formalize that as the way that the Empowerment and the Accountability Committee address these issues. And I think that needed to be made a whole lot more clear in this whole process somehow to people that weren't present for all the discussion. So that's my biggest concern, that we don't become this judge, jury, and executioner style, and we lose sight of our true purpose here, and we start going on these witch hunts for people. I don't want to take away the incentive of people to mediate, thinking there's an easier solution. That's my big concern, is that people don't think the fast track to dealing with somebody that they can't get along with or they can't agree with is to go through this you know, trial. That's my concern.
I can almost directly address that. The vote of no confidence is definitely, there are specific things, like, it's not a matter of, we don't like this person, we're gonna go kick them out. Like, it's not like it's not like kicking somebody off of Facebook for pissing the wrong people off. These things are specifically, this would only come to, ideally, would only come to a situation where, like, serious damage is being done to the solidarity of the movement, where serious problems that, if not addressed in this manner, might just grow into something really huge in the event of situations like obstructionist or potential planter or whatever. I mean, whatever people are thinking about it. If somebody's doing something that is in violation of the good neighbor policy, you know, that is to the point where the movement is being hurt, and it can be directly attributed to the actions of this man or woman, or the same goes with the accountability and direct violation or circumventing of process, to the point where people are willing to leave the movement, and people have left the movement over the actions specifically of that individual. Then it's got to come down to this. But I also agree that there should be that there definitely needs to be a check to make sure that this doesn't immediately just go, oh, well, I don't like the way that she talks to me, or I don't like the way that he's like handling this business, so gotta kick him out. No, it goes through a serious vetting, looking at like process with multiple people within the movement, and after all efforts are all other efforts to do this in a more completely inclusive manner are exhausted, then it goes down to it. That it's not just an immediate, well, you know, you look funny, like, let's kick you out. That's not what's happening.
And also, Martha, to address one of your concerns, there have been individuals that have at one point or another done individually each one of these things that we're listing, and yet it has never even been considered to kick them out, to ask them to do. I mean, that has never even come to anybody's mind. I mean, I think with the empowerment committee that we've tried, the accountability that we've put together, we are putting into place the steps to try and work through these processes without coming to this. I don't think anybody wants it to have come to this. It's a sad day for us, I mean, in all honesty. So, but I mean, just to say that it's not a witch hunt, there are people that have done all these things that we are talking specifically about John Kenney. We have never suggested that we kick him out.
We got another point of information.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I agree with
Sorry,
the,
Judge. One second. Sorry, we got another point of information.
So I just wanted to point out about this whole slippery slope thing. You know, we've got the kind of person who can have, what do we have, 20 accounts of, 20 plus accounts of 25. We have 25 accounts in a body of what can't be more than 40 people here, who all have had some serious issues with John Kenney, and this is how difficult the process is for removing someone from our process. There can be no slippery slope if it takes a week of hard discussions every time. Like, there's no slip. We'd never get anything done if we were just willy-nilly putting people on a list and saying, we can't do it because this is what it takes. This is how difficult it is. This is how far someone has to go before we all get together and say, something's got to happen.
Group consensus works.
Thank you.
Sorry, Josh.
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, I want to say that I agree with your point, James, that while we are an inclusive movement, and that's one of the most important things about us, we shouldn't do it to the point where we shoot ourselves in the foot. And because the reason I think this proposal should pass, and the attendant restrictions that go along with the proposal, but the reason I think that is not just because John Kenney has a personality. I think he has a personality problem or something. Disorder or whatever. But I suspect that and I don't think we need to prove it here, and I don't think this is a court of law and we need to. But I suspect in a very real way that he could possibly be a plant. I mean, the idea that he's surveilling people. I've been spent plenty of hours face-to-face with John Kenney, and I've come away with the conclusion that I don't trust the man. I don't tell him anything that wouldn't put it on a public, in a public place. And watching him organize, I came away with no other conclusion than that he's purposely subverting these issues. beyond the fact that he seemed to be power hungry. I mean, the constant, like scheduling a planning meeting for something a couple weeks out every single day when everybody in the meeting said, you know, we can't come here every day, which means that you're going to control the decisions and the planning of this. It's so undemocratic. And I tried, Mari, I hear where you're coming from, but I think you're on the wrong side of this, because I tried myself at, like, I don't know, at least four meetings to say in a kind way, John, I don't want to attack you. I don't want to attack you. I don't want to attack you, but you're really undemocratic, but hearing the surveillance issues, it's just beyond the pale. But so finally, I just want to say this. I think it's important for those that are worried about a witch hunt. I think it's a legitimate concern going into the future and looking back on the history of what we've done. Is just to say in this proposal that we include specific reasons in the proposal why we took this action on John, so that later there's a clear record of it. And I would add to those that constant undemocratic organizing and suspicion of being a plant.
Well, who's next? Thanks, Josh. Next up is Ben.
Okay, I have a concern about the process, but I want to come to that later and explain where I'm at. And that is, I too have experienced John as a person who's with an ego that's out of control. And as Josh said, just seeking power and self-aggrandizement, whether he uses the process or not. Sometimes he does it with the process, sometimes not. Tonight, actually last night, but tonight for sure, based on Cisco's testimony of what he said about my alleged professional relationship with him, he's lost credibility with me. Either he doesn't understand what it is to be represented by a lawyer, and I do think he knows what that is, because perhaps he was visiting Brian Pease at 1901 First Avenue. Brian Pease does represent him because John is a plaintiff in the action that Brian Pease filed. And I agree that we need to rein him in. My concern is, and it was previously expressed by Tito and then by PJ, is, that, you know, this is our first discussion about this. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. Yeah. It's my second. I'm concerned about the death penalty aspects of this. And I'm concerned about, this is a movement that cannot afford to be exclusive or to exclude people, and we're obviously not doing it willy-nilly. You know, before I got here last night, you guys obviously have been working on it for a long time, and now I've spent 2 nights out of my short life, getting shorter, talking about this. And so I do think something has to be done, but I also believe in redemption. And Tito's word was right. There ought to be a concept of probation, where maybe he can earn his way back into a position of equal participation and equal rights through continuation of the good work that he does. In the midst of all this other stuff, the good work that he does when he puts his ego aside and uses his mind and his talents to promote the interests of this group. And he's done a lot of that, and he did a lot with the city council, but I also think perhaps too much, because I think his ego got involved there. I would suggest there's one thing about the proposal I don't like, and that would be the limits on his First Amendment rights. And so I would propose an amendment whereby he can participate and speak so long as A, he abides by the process. If he wants to speak, it has to get on stack to do it, that he gets on stack. And for a period of time, I don't know if we want to specify an arbitrary period of time or leave it open-ended, but for a period of time, whether it's in a committee or the General Assembly, if he wants to speak and he has obeyed the process, gotten on stack, or did whatever he had to do to speak, that for a period of time, he can speak as long as nobody in the group has an objection, or call it a hard block, to speaking. As long as the group is willing to let him speak, let him speak. And then I think for a period of time, his vote should be suspended until later. I know, I'm just expressing my concerns. My concern is about the proposal.
Can the rest come up with amendments, though?
Yeah, well, you know, if you want me to do it later, I'll propose those as amendments.
More information.
Point of information, and well, correct me if I'm wrong, your proposal as it stands has the means by which this is not a death penalty. They can be brought back to the General Assembly that they be given a vote of confidence back. So whether we put them on probation or not, that can go to friendly amendments, but the means to come back into the system already exists within the proposal.
My concern is that we express that he's on probation, so that if he wants to participate, he has to do it and behave, and not and also not stalk people and be photographing their premises. Or I've had objections with other people about this when I'm having a private conversation with somebody. If somebody says I'd prefer not to be videotaped, then they should stop. Right. There are a lot of people apparently who he has disregarded in that respect. And, you know, Todd was videotaping this whole thing and nobody objected to it. But if somebody had, I think Todd would have stopped.
Right.
So,
and it's not questioned.
yeah. So anyway, I think those are good points. But I think if we offer him the possibility of redemption, he might be able to contribute to this process and to this cause.
John, a couple points.
No. Okay.
We're talking about the vote of no confidence for John Kenny. This is what we need to do. The next step would be a working group to put information, ideas, thoughts about the future of Occupy San Diego and our relationship with each other in some really more concrete ways.
It's kind of an entirely different
Yeah.
proposal. We have to stay on top of it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Lynette, go.
Lynette.
John. Agreed.
You want a point of information? I wanted to clarify, I don't know how that, because I'm probably out of process right now, but when you stated that he's doing good deeds, I think there's self-interest involved. And I don't know how to separate, pardon me? How do you separate his, okay, you said he's done good deeds for the movement. However, those deeds were full of self-interest without consensus by anyone. They were self-motivated and oftentimes deviated from our desires. And so good deeds based on self-motivation, how is that good for the movement? I don't know.
Well, frankly, I believe. I thought
I'm
it was
not
a question.
asking
I'm
to
sorry.
have a conversation. I'm just putting that out there. I have a concern when someone's doing good deeds, but they have self-interest behind it. Because honestly, if it's a good deed, you're developing a relationship with your peers and you're bouncing ideas off them. And that's a good deed amongst your peers, not your own good deed.
Can I ask you a question?
Well, hold on. John Cantor's got a point
I don't think we're having question and answer.
So my point of information would be the vote of no confidence, correct me if I'm wrong, does allow him to speak. It just doesn't allow him to vote or organize.
I think for a period of time until he's...
Right. But it does say that in the proposal. That's just my point of information.
Any of these things could be reinstated by consensus of the GA.
Right.
Yes.
That's stated in the proposal.
Okay, are we done with concerns?
No, this is just the concern stack. We have some more people on here. Monica.
I guess I do agree with this proposal, and I do think I would agree with it more with a friendly amendment. I guess my concern is just making such a big step, because it is such a big deal, without, I know that he's been given a chance to represent himself and he hasn't done it yet, but I think that it would, I don't want to say look better, but I think there'd be more clarity if he actually got to, not saying that he'd actually show up, but show up and then we actually give points as to what we're accusing him of. Well, I'm just saying, like, make it a public announcement or whatever. If he doesn't show up, then we'll do what we're gonna do. But I mean,
This is we're at that point. I'm sorry, but we're at that
I'm
point.
sorry.
I have information on that.
this specific proposal for a vote of no confidence in John Kenny has been on the facilitation website for 24 hours after the decision last night. It got put up. He knew Friday to be there Sunday. He chose not to show up Sunday. It was discussed and was put on the agenda for today, and that was posted. And just like everybody has access to what we're going to discuss, he was there. There's no concern that it wasn't publicly announced.
Okay. I guess my concern is just doing it to somebody without their representation. But I understand he's not choosing to represent himself. So let me just take that back.
It's more than that because on Friday we directly we get directly brought out all these things to his face. He either ignored it and didn't answer it, or tell us we're lying.
Okay, I mean, I
this has
understand.
been done. I just want to hear.
Let me retract my last.
May I respond to Monica too?
Can we get through the concern stack?
What, you just responded to her yourself.
She's a facilitator and she's a co-moderator.
Okay. I'd like to respond if I could.
We can't
with a suggestion.
We can't have individual occupiers responding to every single person's concern.
I'll save it for a friendly amendment.
Fish. Oh, and Zenyatta's got a point of process.
It is not in our process to have a conversation between two people.
Fish.
I'm concerned with this guy because I know, and every occupier out here knows, that if you leave your stuff on the ground, it's gonna get taken. Like the dude's been down here so many times, and I'm pretty sure he's seen the cops take people's stuff, take our signs, take a bunch of other stuff, and for him to get his laptop, his phone, that backpack with all that info in it, and then get it back the next day, like you got 6 hours. Yeah, like what, 6 hours later?
I love it. It's a soft process. We're covered all this.
Oh shit.
The concerns.
Okay, fine. My bad. Well, I'm done. I don't have anything else to say.
Okay, Chris.
Well, shit.
Guys, can we keep the concerns about the proposal? I know we are all done with this and agitated, and it's just not going to end if we continue to go on with the evidence. The evidence, it's been put out there. This is concerns about the proposal.
Yeah.
Does anybody still have concerns about the proposal? Who's on the list?
Chris does.
Chris.
Chris is next up on stack. Melissa.
As opposed to giving 8 million points of information, I have a lot of concerns that I would like to address. I'm going to start with the fact that to John Kenny something is a verb that we all understand. That in and of itself is a mountain of evidence as to how far this has gone. There was a concern not to let him co-opt this movement. For 4 months, we have been fighting and fighting and fighting to stop him from co-opting this movement in a participatory role. We're out of steam. And he's getting bolder, more egregious, and just blatantly more disrespectful. So, yeah. No, I'm addressing all the concerns we're already done. This is not something that we're doing without him. He's had every opportunity. He decided not to do it. I know. He did.
The copy was concerned, but I just got done saying you can't address people's concerns, otherwise you won't, right? So if you have something to say about the proposal, we'd like to hear it. Otherwise, we'd like to move on to the next.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions, people. And I'm just going to let the moderator tell you.
All right. Any other concerns? I'm going to shut you up in your first sentence if it's not a freaking concern.
Cheeto, concerns about the proposal?
I'm concerned we might never vote on
It's okay. I said it, repeated it. My concerns is that if it's going to make somebody not ever be able to rejoin, and I want that to be in there so that way he can, or anyone can be able to participate again after being in a probationary period. I'm not saying that he should participate per se right away or anything like that, maybe in the background, something like that. And if there's, and that also another concern is that it's been going on for so long. He's had plenty of notice. I said that when I was on Stack before. I said it when I was still here.
Not a concern about the proposal.
What's a concern that people are not understanding
Not a
that
concern
this.
about why is it so fucking difficult? If you have a concern about the wording of the proposal, bring it up.
Just said it.
That has nothing to do about the wording of the proposal. Next.
Zenyatta.
Okay, so with what Doc said in mind, right, I'm among the few that would love to see John Kenney go, right? I mean, I don't want him here, you don't want him here. I want him gone as much as everyone else. However, we always have to look forward. We have to look forward to a time without this man, who, whether or not we ban him, will probably leave in one fashion or another. And with that in mind, I'm thinking of the proposal last night. The proposal under whose terms we are banning him right now. This is a historic moment for this movement. We are considering banning someone. We have not banned really anyone else before. And with that in mind, I almost wish this proposal didn't pass, because I think the first one, last night, because I think in our rage, our anger, our frustration, we might have not have been put as much thought into this process as we could have. And I think we can use this man's ban to fix that proposal. So if we do ban him, I would like us all, see, I'm not necessarily a believer in the necessity of hard, fast rules. But if he does ban, I hope we would all use his ban, his actions, as a precedent for future bans.
Point of information is this is not a ban.
Not a banishment.
It's a the rule of no confidence. You can still show up. A banishment says you're not allowed to come.
Right.
This is no confidence. You're not allowed to leave.
Whatever wording
It's a
you
big
want
difference.
to use, whatever, not participate, no confidence, that's...
What's up, Irish?
Hey, you know, I was sitting here thinking, listening to what everybody's been saying, and so it's been 3 days. I'm not being a dick. I'm not being stupid. I'm just saying it's been 3 fucking days. And you know what? Every GA's been talking about the same damn thing, but nothing's gone through. If someone is trying to disrupt Occupy, and you are sitting here thinking just all about it, but not doing anything about it, not making a decision, to discommunicate it from whatever crap you want to call it, or don't do it. Because while we're sitting here arguing about this could possibly interrupt Occupy, it's doing it right now inadvertently. John Kenney's not here, and we're still flipping out about it.
Put my cousin across the pond.
I just want to address the concerns.
I got to stop for that. You know?
Okay, never mind. Cool, I'm good.
Who is anybody else in stack? Please say no. All right. Amendments. Let's keep this quick. Let's not repeat the same damn amendments over and again. Let's start the stack. You're first.
I just want to say something about the amendments. Basically, I
Mic
feel...
check. Mic check.
Mic check. I guess I just want to. I don't feel like we really. If you think about it, we don't really need to make an amendment because if this goes through, he can come back by simply bringing it back to the general. So going through amendments, I feel like we would maybe waste a little bit more time. I kind of like.
Well, he can't bring this back.
No, who, John?
Yeah.
No, he can't. But somebody would have to. He'd have to come into confidence with somebody who would be willing to bring that back. And this is going to be such a big deal. No, I'm saying screw the amendment. Like let's just.
If anybody stack's about to close, anybody else make eye contact. Now.
We're gonna have Will read off. I hear you.
No,
we're gonna have him read off the proposal one last time, so it's clear what it actually says.
All right.
PJ, man.
John Kenney is to be given a vote of no confidence.
Well, read this slow because I'm going to transcribe it.
Okay.
You can write it down for this phone. No, I can't add anything.
Okay, then I do.
Somebody who's been given no confidence cannot participate. Or sorry, like I guess the proposal is they cannot participate, nor be included in quorum in any decision-making functions of Occupy San Diego. These include, but are not limited to, Occupy San Diego General Assembly, Occupy San Diego committees, Occupy San Diego working groups, and event planning meetings. If an individual who's been given no confidence does actively participate in the process, any decisions made by that group are void. Individuals on this list, John Kenney will not be able to utilize Occupy San Diego property, finances, or media services. However, food, water, and medical services will not be denied if available.
Counseling.
Okay. Now getting back into friendly amendments, Stack.
Let's open the stack one more time after everybody heard it.
Okay.
If you want to be on stack and you haven't been put on already, raise your hand. Otherwise, I'll start with the first person on stack.
Okay.
2 minutes to talk.
Yeah. I'd like to say to Monica, don't be so quick to.
I know, that's why I'm like.
To back off your amendment. She expressed some really good ideas for amendment that would be positive. And I've already said what I needed to say about the issue of probation and redemption and how we can structure this. If the proposal goes through as it's currently set, he would have no reason to ever come back here again physically. Pardon me?
Yeah. It's hard for people to hear you.
Yeah, I mean, he would never come back and would never, have a reason to seek redemption because he wouldn't be allowed to speak, participate, yada yada. And for the rest of the group, if he just happened to say, hooray for Occupy, then everything that the GA did that night would be null and void, which is a silly thing to do to ourselves. We can control his participation in such a way that it can only be productive. One thing I would suggest, as part of one of the conditions of his probation, is he should be required to watch the videotape of this entire evening and respond in writing to every accusation that's been made against him, and say whether he wants to defend himself, be defensive, if he's wrong or if he's right. If he's remorseful and said, I'm sorry I videotaped your apartment and stalked you and committed a crime. I'm sorry I stole your money, or whatever. But every one of us here has just spent how many hours of our lives going through this tonight. If he wants to redemption, he's got to spend the same amount of time of his life watching what happened here and responding in writing.
So just to clarify what you're saying, you would like to see a probationary period for whatever set time.
Or indefinite.
Or indefinite probation period. You would like to see his ability to come here and have an option back into the movement. And you would like to see him write a letter addressing everything that's been addressed on this video.
Yes.
Okay. Next amendment? Oh, are we supposed to, Melissa, are we supposed to vote on every amendment or hear every amendment first?
Originally, the committee would decide whether or not to accept friendly amendments, but because there's not a committee behind this one, it's pretty much a groundswell.
So do we vote on each amendment right afterwards, or do we wait?
You can do it either way.
All right, we'll wait.
Okay. Next.
Next.
Curtis.
I'm here. Oh my God! I want it passed, but I want it passed under the condition that afterward, the empowerment and accountability committees really sit down and come up with a check and like basically under stipulation that any other kind of things happen like that before have to go like any violations of either the good neighbor policy or the GA process have to go to empowerment or accountability respectively, so that they can be worked out, like being part of the process, attempted to be worked out. This cannot be a witch hunt. This has to be resolved in the most inclusive way possible. This is a last ditch effort. So I think that basically I would be down for this to pass as long as it's like immediately thereafter these two committees get down and start talking about how to make sure that it is beyond shadow of a doubt that the movement is hurting directly due to the actions of the individual in question.
I have a suggestion of what you could call that committee. You could call it the probationary committee, and he would be required to participate in that committee under strict, he couldn't vote.
Just as
you
a
can only
process,
talk with permission and so on.
We already have the accountability and the empowerment committees, and he is already passed through with both.
Right. Would that be the same thing as I mean, because you wouldn't want those committees to end up wasting all their time dealing with John Kennedy.
I don't think he would show up, so it's
This is the process.
Ben, yeah, I got it. Actually, I'm going to yield mine because my friendly amendment was in line with yours.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Probationary periods.
Well,
we'll yield my friendly amendment.
Tracy, you were transmitting your body.
All right, guys. Sorry, we're gonna do this again. So I do Peacekeepers and Encinitas, and we use professional mediation and moderators. I think what we do, and I've been studying and reading and listening to everybody says, is very similar to what your empowerment and your accountability committees are doing as well. And in our case, our person who was only initially booted off the online board, but in a small group like ours that only meets once a week, that's a big deal, much bigger deal than our board, OSD board is. That person later came out and attacked us rather quite aggressively in print and in written word on Facebook and verbally, which resulted in us instituting a ban, our first and only. I do think there does have to be a secondary consequence. If we bring people in, always try to bring people back into the fold, but some people, because of their conditioning, just will never be able to work inside this kind of process because their leadership drive is so great or their own interests are so great. So I would like to add the following, that if somebody was to come out and publicly or in a recorded manner detract from OSD and our process, that would be the grounds for considering a permanent ban. And this, wait, let me amend, okay, make that clear. That is after this process. That is after the process of no confidence. That is not in first, because I believe that those kind of issues should be dealt with by those committees. And they always should be mediated, talked out, worked out, and talked to death almost first. So I don't mean that as an initial thing, because anybody can say one flippant thing. Okay, but I'm saying that after this process, as we try to create this path so that we can reintegrate him back into the group, hopefully, that becomes one of the conditions, because that is something that very few people will be able to deal with. And it's unfortunately, I think, to me, a sign of true commitment to the group and not commitment to yourself or your vanity or your ego.
Okay, so specifically to add on a vision for dealing with attacks in print and other media.
Specifically to add on to the fact that once a person has received the vote of no confidence, if they have decided that they want to become reintegrated into the group, they cannot publicly disparage this group or its process, either in print, either in large verbal group, or in anything recorded on live stream, GA, YouTube, etc.
Can I add to that? That he also, if he decides to do anything online, that he do it under his own name. If he's going to say anything, that he should specify that he is not speaking for Occupy San Diego. And if he breaks those,
schism, then it doesn't matter what our process is, or if we institute a ban.
I mean, he may do
Point of process. This is a back and forth here. We've got a stack 4 friendly amendments on that stack for that thing.
Leslie.
I just wanted to point out to everybody that it's 9:38 and we've been going on about this for like 2 hours, so if we could try to kind of wrap it up. I realize it's not a friendly amendment, but I just wanted to point that out. So
it took that long.
I know, but not all of us could be here all night.
So my friendly amendment would be that this vote, once it comes out, with or without the probationary period, it be accompanied by a press release. Because John Kenny has already issued several press releases calling himself the consenter or official OSD, whatever. So that's got to be retracted. Even if he's just going on probation, we need to get the word out that that's happening. But that would, of course, only be if the proposal passed. So that's my friendly amendment.
Is that it?
I'm working on one with all of the things right now, kind of. If everybody who has a friendly amendment wants to come over to me and help me put all of this together with the original.
Quick 5-minute break. GA. Everybody who has an amendment, go to Melissa. We're going to get this ironed out, and we'll be back up in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was.
It's 9:39, so at 9:45, we're re-adjourning GA.
You guys all know what I mean.
Wonderful. Hey, I'm like, I have time tonight. I'll come down.
I mean, I knew.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of felt bad because like last week I was just crazy busy, just didn't get down here. And then like on Friday I wasn't so crazy busy because I was exhausted. All right.
Oh yeah. The biggest
Hey, Senora, what are you sewing up there? If you don't mind me asking.
I was actually going to offer you some of the thread that I had. I never just sit around doing nothing. Because, like, I
think it's
a
vest. A vest? All right.
But I
I've seen better days.
So what do you have to say about that picture?
Protesters are not human beings.
Did Sanders say that, or how did that come about?
I speak the truth of what Sanders really believes.
I see.
These protesters are not human beings and they can eat rocks.
Jerry Sanders, are you protesting protesters?
Something like that.
So you're not here?
Go draw on the sidewalk with chalk, young lady.
Methinks the gentleman
That's funny.
You're a great live stream. Good for you now.
Yeah,
I saw you covering the light and everything to make it a better photo.
Yeah.
I just thought that was.
don't know. I'm like, I tried to facilitate.
You can be a flying monkey.
No, because it's specifically on we can we're not medically
We're gonna go 5 more minutes.
Chris, Leslie.
John we're hashing out the way the verbiage
I know.
Don't take out all this.
I need to get something smaller to use as my camcorder. It's kind of big and bulky. Oh, by the way, I'm allergic to cigarette smoke. Thank you. That's better, thanks.
I'm working on I left my GoPro in Cuba. I'm trying to get my GoPro so you can just put it on your chest and stuff in your backpack.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I just been using this because this is what I have.
Oh no, I hear you. I hear you. No, dude, you do a great job. I love it. I can't get down here so I do. I sincerely appreciate it. You actually know my stuff behind you because the smoke's going that way.
Yeah, I do what I can. We need more people to do this. Because I can't do this every day, and so it'd be nice just to have somebody doing it every day. So, actually, I want. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I need to talk to media community some more because there was some talk about more cameras. Yeah. I need to do that. I'm just like I missed all the meetings last week except for like the first one the week.
I'm kind of in this spot. I have my son every other week.
Right.
Days and weeks where I have my son, I can't.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm in school. I'm a student. Being a student takes time.
Being a parent of a student takes time.
I bet. That probably even takes more time. Yeah, well, the school system is another thing that needs to be addressed. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, it was better when I went to school out here, and it's like even worse now. I'm like, man, I'm stuck in a class with 40 other kids and one teacher. That was like 50 kids and no equipment. You know, it's like, what's going on here? Why aren't we taking care of our kids? This is important to me. This is our future that we're not educating. If one day I have children to raise, I want them to have a decent education.
The only way you're going to accomplish that right now is to send them to private school.
Yeah.
This shit is ridiculous.
Yeah, and I don't want to have my kids like, oh, you know, you have to be taught this religion to go to school kind of thing either. I don't think that's right either. I mean, if a parent wants to do that to their kid, that's fine with me.
That's their choice, though.
Yeah.
That would be the only choice.
Yeah.
What's up, Fish?
Hey, Fish, what's going on? Anything you want to say to the camera?
Shit's fucked up.
We love Fish.
Shit's fucked up and bullshit.
What should we occupy next? You don't have to
Let's
answer.
occupy
I just don't. I want this to happen. Yeah. That's why we've been making sure Kenny.
I was talking to my brother about it. He's like, you know what you need to do is you need to like occupy like the Koch brother mansion and the Waltons mansions and stuff. Yeah, I would like to do that sometime. That'd be cool.
I say we go on some more marches. Tomorrow's our 4-month anniversary. Holy smokes, we've been here 4 months.
Wow.
4 months, eh?
Wow. Have you been here the entire time?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I was here on the first march.
I was too.
And then, like, I just been periodically showing up since then.
Come here, baby. Yeah, I've been here for 4 months straight, eh?
Yeah, you've been here, like, pretty much all the time except for when you were in jail because you were here.
And DC.
And DC,
Well, I'm
yeah.
still occupying.
Yes, you're occupying somewhere every day. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you? I
All
like
right.
your little strap thing.
Yes, I have my little portable tray.
It's very cool. I'm very jealous of it. But we have like
It's the way to do
viewers,
it. No viewers, it's being
Oh, you're
recorded.
supporting.
Yeah, it saves bandwidth that way.
Yeah. That's how you talked about that.
Yeah.
Good. How are you?
Okay.
Any job yet?
No, I hear you're enjoying your job, right? When,
guess.
when it's most important, you're at the job.
Yeah. God's funny that way.
Yeah.
But you know, the job that the tutor the girl that keeps me late, she's almost done. So
Right.
I only have it's like temporary or whatever. It's not like long term.
Right.
So,
What's wrong?
I don't usually, but I feel like this is good.
I have
It's like a
ibuprofen.
migraine.
I have ibuprofen. That's the other medicine.
I need that from your other half.
I have this stuff, but I have this one called Butalbital. It's non-narcotic. It's medication. It's very medicine called Butalbital. And it's got
I can't even take.
We can't make it to March 30th.
one of these are great. That's ibuprofen. I have one.
Oh, thanks.
Just finish it.
So have you been able to go to? Have you been able to make it to any of the media meetings?
Probably to Wednesday I will.
All right, yeah, because I missed all of last week because like I was super busy.
Yeah, I can really do something, so I'm probably not gonna like.
Yeah.
Just gonna do my own thing.
Yeah, because it'd be nice to get some more equipment because there was some talk about that last week. I just didn't know where
Well,
it's
they
at.
have a hotspot.
Right.
But I'm already annoyed with it because like they have a Wi-Fi hotspot, and I was trying to get a hold of it for live stream and Jay, and it was a big fucking controversy. So I was like, whatever. It's the back involved in this bullshit. You know, like.
All right. I'm just trying to get some help here to record, at least record things. This is not online. This is like I'm just gonna upload to YouTube. That way it saves on money.
As soon as I can make it to Jay, I'll help you. To Jay, I'll help you with stuff like that. But I can't
Alright.
really offer that help right now because I can't be here.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't even freaking bring a proposal to Jay because I can't make the meeting with GA ever.
Right. Well, how much longer are you on this job for?
Well, I have like individual students, right, that go for a certain amount of time period, so they didn't
Right.
all start at the same time. So the one girl I have that keeps me late,
Right.
she's gonna be done within like 2 weeks or something. So.
All right. Yeah, because what I'm looking for, especially now that I'm doing school, is just some relief so we get more coverage. Because I didn't cover like at all last week. Like I feel bad about it.
I'm gonna try to start like covering, like doing, like I try to do articles still. I'm trying to.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I haven't done it yet. That's my intention.
Well, the way I see it is whatever you do, whatever you end up doing is whatever you end up doing, and you know that's about the short and long of it. So I
Yeah,
just-
because the other thing is I have that job, right? But it's still not enough to pay my bill. Like I need another job.
yeah, that's how it is. I mean, I only have money because I worked crazy hours for a very long time and didn't spend it on anything. And now that I'm unemployed, it's like, well, I have some money saved up. I can pay school. That's another thing is like some of the employers I talk to is like, well, I'm not in school all that much. I mean, I could work too. They're like, oh, you're in school? Well, you're not working for us. Yeah. Yeah, I've actually been told that just the other week.
You know the job market is like you have to act like you want to live and die. It's not involving you because they want to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't want to even know that it's a distraction.
Yeah. But I'm so close to being done. I mean, I'm on my last class.
Something.
Right.
Keep it to yourself. They don't need to know. Especially if it's only one class. It's not like you're in school full time.
Yeah. Well, last week it was more full time because I was also doing graphic school. Freaking red light cameras. This discussion's going on for too long. That's kind of a long discussion here. It's supposed to be 5 minutes. Just to write down some stuff.
They asked for more time for them, and they're trying to do
All right. Right. Well, at least when I go to talk to the fires, I never mention this.
I did my last job I applied for. That's how I got the interview. I put Occupy on my resume.
Really?
Like a volunteer position. But they're like a nonprofit that works in these fields.
Right.
I didn't get the job.
I got the interview.
I got an interview.
Right.
Solidarity for no one, especially John Kenny.
What?
She got 2 interviews.
2 what?
She was able to get 2 interviews.
Oh, that's cool.
Well,
I think that says a lot, honestly.
Well, and I didn't get the job with the CEO, Robert Greenwald. They do videos like Who Are the 1%, and like We Are the Koch brothers, who's all about the Koch brothers. They have another project called Quintonime, which is like a Latin-based online forum for these kind of issues.
Right.
And anyways, so it was cool to meet him, and like when he emailed me to tell me like I didn't get the position, he's like, the next time you're in LA, stop by and say hi. So I was like, okay, well at least I made like another friend.
Oh, that's cool.
Field.
That's cool.
You recording right now?
Do you want me to stop?
No, I don't care. I just forgot.
Yeah, I just never pressed the stop button. I guess I could have. I mean, people are just sitting around.
Melissa.
Hey, if I don't hash this out, nothing moves forward. I'm sorry.
It's been 15 minutes.
It is getting it done. We're addressing the issues of 40 people in like 10 minutes. You can calm down and give us some.
Read us what you got. Anybody hears something which is good, we can shout it out.
Except that that's what we've been doing here, and people keep coming in who didn't want to take part in the beginning of this and add shit at the end, which is exactly what everybody's doing. So if we can stop and add 2 minutes right now, we'll get this finished. And then somebody else showed up. So sorry. And we said everyone with amendments, please come here because that was so many of us. So please come here and let's hash this out.
2 minutes.
She has so much passion. It looks like she's gonna pop a blood vessel.
Solidarity forever. And thanks the storm.
If you want things to get hashed out, please give us silence to address the amendment. Thank you.
Hey, we got 2 more minutes of meeting. 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes.
This is ridiculous. Don't look at me like that because you don't know the process, man.
I'm not. This has nothing to do with it. I just want this to be over.
This is ridiculous. It should have already been over.
I understand. That's why I just.
Engage me.
Both gone.
Okay, well, why don't you just say, present what you got so far, and anybody says there's something missing.
I'm just gonna let these 2 minutes go by and then we're done, regardless of whether. Also for you.
Come back 2 years.
The people stay up late, they get grumpy.
Right? Hungry too. You are hungry, tired, cold.
Yeah, see, the thing is, for me, is like, I just finally, well, actually, I was tired like all day today.
That's what he said.
I don't know, I'm pumped just to be here, I guess.
People think this is a bad thing. This is a great thing. Look at how many people are at GA. Look at how many people are here discussing something.
Yeah. I was just down here because I'm like, well, I can fit it into my schedule today, so I'll be down here. I'm like, I couldn't fit it in my schedule like all last week. So, yeah.
I guess it's a good thing it got pushed off till today. I wanted this to be March.
Yeah.
You know, transparent.
So what did I miss the past week?
I'm stronger than that.
Okay. Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
What do you call it? Last week. It really wasn't all last week. Really, yeah, it was. Tuesday is when
Okay.
Wednesday is when it came up last day because there was already a whole bunch of other shit put on the agenda. I got pushed off to Thursday, and then that got pushed off to Friday. And on Friday, we had this whole big contentious GA. I got pushed off to Sunday. Last night, things didn't go according to process. Proposals were put forth that weren't even on the table. Last night was a waste of time. We're here.
Yeah. So I came back on the fun day.
Yep.
It's another reason to date.
All right. I feel so bad now.
Last night was worse. Last night we were yelling at you.
Women make way better friends.
All right.
To me, anyways.
And then tomorrow, hopefully, we'll be on something else.
I don't think so. I think someone's going to
I do not play that game.
It won't be the same. Since now we hashed out the proposal. That's all we're bringing back up. It's just the proposal and then we vote on it. Okay, next day.
Right. Yeah, I mean, at least now I understand why this is happening. Like, that's one thing about missing out on the conversations. Like, I started seeing some Facebook threads go up, and then people started deleting their own threads and stuff. And, like, I didn't even really understand all this stuff. That's one of the reasons I rose my hand when he's like, "Hey, you want to hear what's going on?" Like, yeah, I do, because I don't know.
Well, now it's recorded.
Yeah, now it's recorded.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And so now anybody can go on there who has the patience to watch this whole thing.
You really only need to watch about the first hour. That's all the evidence.
Yeah, then you nod off, you know. Go on your keyboard and all that, turn it off.
Oh, man. That's hilarious. Something like that's the fucking part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
State your fucking opinion and leave your speech aside.
It's the unfortunate thing about humanity.
Yeah. We all like to hear ourselves talk.
Yeah, we all like the drama.
Yeah.
Even though we hate it too.
Without a doubt.
That's what Cisco just said.
All right.
South Park should do an episode on John.
Yay.
Mic check! Mic check! Mic check! Mic check! GA is going to start again. GA is going to start again. Please make a circle. Please make a circle.
Here's one for you. Go ahead. Go. Yeah. Yeah, we got another second.
I think we just made a song.
Oh, wow.
No! Shit's fucked up.
Shit's fucked up in bullshit. Shit's fucked up.
Shit's fucked up in bullshit.
Shit.
I saw those shoelaces. I thought, oh my God, he's going to fall. He's going to hurt himself. And more importantly, he's going to destroy the computer and the record of this entire evening.
I don't want to do that. I thank you for tying my shoe because I was looking at it like, I'm recording. So I appreciate it.
Everybody make a square.
We got any name, but they said, okay, it can be used for anybody. Let's make it specific for John Kenny.
Star of David.
John Kenny.
Nice, Mike check. Mike check. It shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be that hard. Reassemble. Reassemble. Let's hear the proposal with the amendments.
With all of the amendments and the concerns of the intended blockers, it kind of transforms. So everybody listen very closely. Whereas John Kenny is known to the Occupy San Diego General Assembly as having a history of constant undemocratic organizing, constant and repetitive subversion of process, self-grandizement, surveillance, both audio and video, of other occupiers with their explicit dissent, misrepresentation of himself, others, and Occupy San Diego as a whole, lack of transparency and refusal to address accountability grievances with the General Assembly, we, the General Assembly, hold John Kenny in no confidence. This means that while he may passively participate, he will be counted in quorum, but will not be able to block in any consensus call. He may not engage in any facilitatory role. This applies to the OSD General Assembly, committees, working groups, and planning meetings.
That's a good action that's not in our jurisdiction.
Yeah, I would like to put in a point of information real quick.
Hold on, we're not done. At such a time as John Kenny has addressed the concerns of the General Assembly and shows a conviction towards following the OSD process, a vote of confidence with 51% in favor will reinstate him. In the future, empowerment and accountability committees will be tasked with ensuring all avenues to a solution be exhausted and that there is insurmountable evidence that an individual's actions are directly threatening the progress and or solidarity of this movement. In this case, both were exhausted.
Concerns. Stack. Yeah, let's start a stack.
DJ.
I'm on stack.
DJ, we need stack.
Stack.
Let's make this quick and let's make it about this specifically read proposal. I don't care what you feel about it. I don't care. What problem do you have about this proposal? Whoever was first to start off.
Oh, I'm first. What is with this 51%? That is not part of our process. That is majority rule, and I will block that based on that. If we do not, we do everything by consensus here. At the worst, 90%. Even that's called failed consensus because we failed to consent. That is considered a failure. So I'm gonna block that just because of that 51%.
Okay, I actually can address that concern because originally, it was going to go directly according to process. If it goes directly according to process, there will be blocks on the other side because, and specifically because this has been such an egregious case that it is now considered by some that there are personal vendettas against John that will permanently block it to keep him out, and an understanding that if more than half of this movement feels like he is participating in a beneficial way and according to process, that we will attempt to work with him again. So if the blockers from both sides of that want to get together and figure out a solution, I would love it.
Am I allowed to respond? Or do I have to get back on stack?
That's exactly what stuff. I don't know actually how that works, to be honest. No different response. Next on stack.
Jenny.
Okay, I have a concern along the same lines. It takes us 100% consensus to reach this decision in the first place, and then it moves to 90%. We make it so hard to get this vote of no confidence. Why would we make it so much easier to get back on? I mean, I would like to see at least a two-thirds, at least two-thirds. I mean, I can't accept 51%.
Liz, would you address that, please?
I put that in myself.
Because why? Because I really believe if 51% of us here think he should be back in, then he should be. I mean, if you guys, I've seen a lot of people here, and don't get me wrong, I have no love for this man. I've seen what he's done. But if I see him trying to use the process and trying to actually reform himself, I still think there's going to be people here that are going to say, fuck you, John Kenney. I don't want you in this fucking movement forever. And so 51%. Otherwise, I'll hard block it. So fine, you guys can threaten with a hard block. I can also.
Hey, if you're gonna hard block. Otherwise, shut up. Yeah. Wait.
Why don't we all talk nice to each other?
Yeah, Jay.
Okay.
I apologize.
So my concern
Seriously,
is.
if you're gonna hard block, don't say it. Just do it. Tell us your concern is.
So my concern, Melissa, my concern with this particular version of the proposal is that 51%, specifically because everything we do works on a consensus for a reason. And that's because we're not about majority rule, we're about everybody working together to reach an agreement. And like Jenny said, if we're going to reach 100% or 90% consensus to give him a vote of no confidence, it should take at least 100 or 90% to get a vote of confidence. Just because that's how we work. And a vote of confidence would have to come up as a proposal, and proposals only get 100 or 90% consensus. They don't get 51%. That's process. You can't subvert process trying to reinstate somebody who is known for subverting process. So that's my concern, is that you're changing the process to accommodate a person who doesn't care about the process. That's my concern.
So all three of you were concerned with the percentage.
Yes.
Just so that we can try and hash this out, what are the minimum consensus numbers that are acceptable?
90%.
90?
90%.
After 3 days.
Yep.
It's the same as any other.
Yeah, exactly.
I've already addressed my concerns, and I've been asked not to say what I'm going to do. So I want 51%. I first wanted this to be written up so the proposal included steps he could take to be included without a GA. By actions of a character, we define somebody, not by a consensus. So that's how I wanted it to begin with, and I compromised with the 51% already. Now you want me to compromise more? I'm sorry, I am compromising. I'm trying to be inclusive and not exclusive. I'm sorry. I try to include. Thank you, I yield.
Question. Clarification. Chris, by 51%, do you mean 50% plus one vote? Or do you mean we actually have to come up with 51 real percent?
51% real percent.
1% of 25.
We did actually discuss that. He means 51 real percent.
51%.
We have discussed it, not 50% plus one is 51%.
Leslie.
My only concern is I'd like to add in conference call in there also, because of the fact that he is a moderator for the interconference calls for the SoCal conference that we're having on February 11th. Because if we are going to be voting him out, then I have to contact the InterOccupy and try to arrange that with them, because we can't be having somebody moderate a conference call with all the occupies if we're kind of impeaching him or blocking him out or whatever you want to call him. So that's my only concern, really.
I don't think we have the power to prevent him from participating in other groups unless they go through the same process.
No, but
So
at
that's
least
my concern.
for our InterOccupy call.
We do have the authority to tell InterOccupy that he no longer represents OSD.
I don't know.
They will actually listen to what.
Yeah, if it's a GA consented thing, they will listen to it.
So the wording on that would be recommended that this applies to the OSD General Assembly committees, working groups, and planning meetings, or any InterOccupy or any InterOccupy function.
Yeah, I'd go with function just in case there is anything else involved with InterOccupy that may come up. You are out of process.
Should we add something or any InterOccupy function? Should we add anything after that or just cut it?
good. I'd say just function, just because we don't know what type of functions or phone calls or anything they'd have in the future. Right.
We argue that no one represents OSD and everyone represents themselves as OSD members, so that would kind of be a moot point.
No, what is not when he's handing out flyers and press statements saying that he's speaking for OSDGA? He's done that.
Yes, he has. That is one of our grievances, that he misrepresents this group.
Okay, next on stack is Ben.
Which Ben?
I'd like to see a compromise of this percentage dispute, but my main concern is that there are no affirmative conditions of probation, such as he has to do X, Y, and Z, like follow the rules, speak only, that his vote doesn't. I don't know about this vote being an abstention. I don't think he should be allowed to vote for a period of time.
We also argued over that.
Okay. I mean, is anybody going to hard block that? I don't know. Monica's idea. Monica, did you get yours in there? No.
Which one? I don't know whose was which at this point. So.
Well, and I think requiring him to watch the entire videotape of tonight's proceedings and respond in writing to each specific accusation that was made.
It is kind of addressed. It says at such a time as John Kenney has addressed the concerns of the General Assembly.
I think be specific. He has to watch the videotape and he has to specifically address the concerns in writing.
Yeah, I feel it's specific enough. We cannot force it.
Yeah, there's no way that you can
he doesn't do it. We just don't let him break it.
I mean,
So
I
wait
feel
to
like
know
I feel it like it's addressed.
Okay, I'm next on stack. I don't know if this would make things easier or not, but just as an idea, I'm gonna just say this. We are not removing John from Occupy San Diego process. He has done that himself repeatedly. And maybe we can call this something else. Maybe we don't need to do anything. Because you've been called out by GA. You've been called out by different committees. There have been multiple attempts at remediation and working together. If you don't show up, if you don't participate, if you don't do any of these Occupy San Diego GA approved things, then really, how are you affiliated with Occupy San Diego? So I don't know if there's a way that we can still leave a line in the sand, because I think this is going to come up again. But look, either you deal with this process or you're not part of the process. And he's removed himself from the process.
Yep.
So what? I think we just got to call it what it is. Sorry, you're not playing nice. Come play nice with us, follow the rules like everybody else, and that's another thing. So however we can wrap that up into us wrapping this night up.
I got it. We got 2 more people on stack. Let's hear them.
James.
So I want to talk about the percentage issue, which a couple other people have addressed. I'm thinking similarly along the lines of some of the criticisms as well as some of the concerns that are expressed. But primarily, I'm also thinking when somebody has transgressed, you don't give a mixed message by kicking them out the front door and leaving the back door open. So I don't like at all the idea of 51%, but I recognize the concern expressed that there will indeed be some people who will just block it, period, no matter what, if anybody brought him coming back. And I certainly would not want to be the person who brought that motion up to the GA to bring somebody back who had so much animosity against him. My suggestion to amend this would be to maintain real GA process of 100% consensus or 90% on the third day, but not allow blocks for a reinstatement process.
Wait, say that again?
What? Yeah, don't allow blocks.
So just to restate, my suggestion is percentages-wise, getting somebody back in follows regular consensus process in terms of votes. So it's either got to be 100% one of the first 2 days or 90% the third day. But for a reinstatement procedure, there be no blocks allowed.
Yeah. So we're going on your 48 hours then. So tomorrow is done.
I'm confused on this. What do you mean by hard blocks are not allowed?
So if there is a reinstatement procedure for somebody who has had no confidence.
You mean like if accountability and empowerment come up with a plan to be reinstated, that be followed so that there are like two avenues?
Well, built into this proposal is an avenue for reinstatement with 50% consensus or 50% plus one or whatever.
That's pretty much what's correct.
Okay. Well, my suggestion to address those concerns is for a reinstatement procedure that there be no hard blocks, because that is a very valid concern that's been made, that once somebody has gone through this procedure of being banned, inevitably emotions are going to be so heightened with at least some of the people here that some people will dig their heels in and never accept somebody back. We all know people in our lives who missed that day in kindergarten about forgiveness.
I did.
So I think we should consider that in having a way of letting people try and get back into the confidence of the group. But I don't think we should bend at all on our consensus procedure as far as seeking full 100% consensus or as close to that. Because as a horizontal body, that's what defines us as different from pure majoritarian so-called democracy. I yield.
Last person on stack.
I have a point of information really quick.
What's your point of information?
In regards to what you said about, or what I've been hearing about a minority of really angry people blocking a person from coming on just because they don't like them anymore or whatever, they still feel hurt. When you block, you have to explain your block. If you just block and say, oh, I don't like that guy, oh, I still feel hurt, I mean, that's not necessarily a valid reason, so to speak. You know, I don't know. I just feel that you have to keep that in mind. I think our process protects us enough from those sort of people when you think about it in that way.
Okay.
Melissa's up.
All right, so listening to everyone, I'm kind of reworking as we go. After the list of grievances, switch it to, we the General Assembly hold John Kenney in no confidence. This means that he may passively participate. He will be counted in quorum, but will not be able to block in any consensus call. Go through the facilitatory roles, add the or any interoccupied function. At such a time as John Kenney has addressed the concerns of the General Assembly and shows a conviction towards following the OSC process, a vote of confidence will reinstate him. The proposal to reinstate confidence must come from the Empowerment and Accountability Committees, which are tasked with ensuring all avenues to a solution are exhausted and there is insurmountable evidence that an individual's actions are directly threatening the progress and or solidarity of this movement, as well as working with the same individuals towards rehabilitation. Blocks to reinstatement for stated personal reasons will not be counted. Is there anyone's concerns on that I missed, Tracy?
I proposed about if the person who's received a vote of no confidence and was en route, this was my amendment proposed, was that if they were en route to coming back to the group and they were to publicly disparage the group or the process in print, electronic form, verbally to a public assembly or group, then that would be the grounds for banning, because you do have to have your next consequence to deal with, as well as a reason to deal with the fact that because once you do this, you're going to have a lot of really angry feelings, and I'm speaking from experience of our own group, of that failure to do so resulted in a really vicious attack on our group in print, in press, and in YouTube. So that's why that was originally part of the...
a proposal to ban is in the very nature of it separate from the intention of this proposal. While it may be very much necessary for those kinds of guidelines, and for guidelines like anybody on empowerment and accountability, please, for the love of God, come up with guidelines for this in the future. And also, that's a good one to handle too.
Well, the reason I'm bringing it up is because the negative press we got that hurt our group substantially. Lost 8 people in a very small group. Had to do specifically with this, and you can't wait for 2 or 3 weeks for a committee to sit there and come up. And the thing is too, is there also needs to be an incentive. I mean, if there is no further consequence, then there is no real incentive to really change your behavior because you already feel disempowered. So I think that it's important to make sure that we go through this part of it too, to look further on, because that makes it very clear. If we turn around and say 3 weeks from now that you detracted against us and now we're going to ban you, you say, well, that wasn't meted out in my punishment. And people like this will absolutely needle you to death for every word you write. You couldn't write 100-page legalese to stop it, but you do have to think about it proactively.
So if we were to add like further detraction in any fashion.
My words are specific because he has a right to detract us to his friends, to his family, to any people separate road group he wants to. But any public detraction in print, media, or public assemblies would result in a permanent ban.
And add to that misrepresentation of OSD,
yes,
or representing yourself as representing OSD without a consensus of the General Assembly. So add those to your thing.
The banning thing adds a whole other ball of worms because we have no way to ban someone from a public space. That's completely...
Yes, there is. There were lots of ways to deal with it, and I'm glad to talk to you about it because we do it. We do have to do it, and you don't always have to leave your space. There are ways to monopolize people, to keep them busy. You have 3 people who constantly circle them and talk to them and say lovely things. Okay?
Can we hash that out and put it on the agenda for tomorrow night?
Yeah. I can't get down here every night, but I can try, and I'm certainly
even if you don't get down here tomorrow night, if we can hash it out, then...
Does anybody, would anybody block Tracy's friendly amendment to this?
Motion to put that on a separate agenda as an amendment to the thing for future time.
Second? Anybody second?
Right, but then he'll never get back in.
No, I'm not saying we can't.
The deadline.
We can add, I think, the verbiage for further detraction in those things will lead to a further response, and just not say what that further response is going to be.
I mean, if they trash talk, if the person trash talks us, they're not going to get back in.
Right.
They're never going to get 90% of us. I mean,
yeah, but
I don't understand why we've got
if we're going to have a ban to return, we should make sure they understand what the rules are.
Yes.
If you don't tell them what the rules are,
Question of
then they're going to
clarification.
claim that we're being arbitrary and targeting them individually. Since this is an unprecedented event for OSD, that is why I am proposing that the rules be made very clear.
Does anyone...
So that there is no question, because people will argue that we did not.
The banning thing is going to automatically be a no-go because we've been down that road a million times. If we were to go with the further detractions in all the things you stated, or misrepresentation in any of those ways, will lead to a further response.
The misrepresentation is what got my butt down here.
Yeah. We're making those conditions so that he violates it.
Hold on, we have a question of clarification.
I was just trying to see if we do that with the further and the thing and do it as further action.
Can we make it a condition of the probation that he not detract blah 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 blah?
In order to ever be eligible for a vote of confidence, he must not do those things.
Yeah, yeah.
Any objections to that wording?
No, that's great. All right, hold on. PJ's got something to say though before we finalize it.
Okay.
This is, Uma said 98% of it. Could we coordinate or integrate both what you shouldn't do after this happens and what needs to be done to get back in into one? I think that should be like one issue for empowerment and whatever else. Because
It's actually pretty easy to work, too.
Yeah, we can lay it out there. Like, if you do these things, then you can come back. If you do these things, then you don't. Anyway, and that could be one coherent philosophy.
We have 2 minutes for Melissa to talk with the people who are interested in this issue, and hash that out.
Now we're taking a break. Let me do it right
No.
We're gonna have that.
Yeah, this is the last one here.
We don't have like 600 persons.
Happy Georgia. Happy Georgia.
That's why we did it. Is we have peacekeepers.
Well, I'm recording right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to upload it to YouTube.
So you're not live?
No. No, this says I'm bandwidth costs. It says I'm bandwidth costs.
What?
It says bandwidth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is going to take a long debate. Let's just end it.
Because my battery is about to go. I don't know if I'm going to get the
You're going to do what?
I'm not going to get the vote because my battery
Yeah.
it's.
You know something I was looking into you might be interested in?
I
Is
have another battery that I left Johnny has.
Oh, all right.
And I was doing stuff earlier today, so they weren't fully charged.
Oh, all right. Yeah, because I was going to say something I saw because, you know, those batteries are not cheap. You know that. I saw a thing, I think it was like Energizer or something like that. Like you can get specialized tip for some camcorders. So like the unit is like $100 or so, and then you spend a few extra bucks for the tip, maybe even a little step down thing if it runs at specific voltage. Some of those run like a ticket voltage, like 8.4 volts, for example, as it's constant cannons. Then what you can do is that will power your camcorder all day long, and so that, you know, it's not too big, it's not really small, but you know, it's another way to power your camcorder as much as you need to. Granted, you have something to record on.
Unfortunately, I have no budget for.
Yeah, what?
No budget for any.
All right. Well, you'll just be like me. I get what I can, and that's it. Right? Are you gonna be able to upload any of this?
I can't really. I'm recording it on mini TV.
Right.
So, and software I'm using, it takes it's like every minute of footage takes a huge amount of time.
All right.
It's not like I can just so I have to. It's real time.
Oh yeah.
And then I have to convert it to TV, and then I have to convert it again.
Right.
So it's a very involved process. So I can't upload that much as I can.
All right. Yeah, I hear you.
Now that some stuff got lost, I'm glad that I have.
Yeah, I hear you on that, because even doing what I'm doing, it's like if I'm going to be down here every day, it's kind of pressing my time because I have to wait for things to re-encode and then show it up to YouTube or whatever I do.
Yeah, I can't.
I follow you.
Something that's really important though.
I understand. We see more equipment.
Toby is gonna meet up with Toby.
I understand what
you're saying.
Nobody wants
to say. Trying to streamline it a little bit.
Right.
When you upload to YouTube,
I usually just upload one big file to YouTube because I usually recompress everything. Because what this is, what you do is you do
email verification, and then you could do up to 10 gigs or 20 gigs. So what I do is YouTube usually recompress, like I'm doing like 720p, right? Well, what it is by default you get like 15 minutes or something like that. But there's like a button you can click on and say verify my email address. So it sends you like a little verification email. You click on the link in that verification email, and then it gives you like 20 gigs. Well, per file. Yeah. And so what I do is, for 720p, I re-downloaded the video and see what YouTube did, and it looked like it did like H.264, and it did at about 1749 kilobits per second. And so what I do is I re-encode to 1700 kilobits per second for 720p. Well, basically what I'm doing is I'm re-encoding to a rate that YouTube likes. And so that way I minimize the time I spend uploading the file.
Oh, and I find out later how to do that.
Sure, as long as I have the time to get it to you. I can actually show you after I stop encoding this. I can reboot my computer and start the process.
Probably not today.
Right.
I'm getting a ride, and
Okay. Well, yeah, another day would be fine for me too, as long as I'm here. I can't be here every day, but if we're both here and you have time, let's do it. Cool. I don't stick on Facebook. What was your name?
Well, on Facebook, I'm
Oh, that's you. See, because the thing is I usually don't friend people unless I know who they are in person. I've seen you. I'll friend you.
I think I might have sent you one.
Yeah, you sent me one, except I just.
Where's our timekeeper? 2 minutes is up.
Mic check! Mic check! To the end of the proposal, we want to add.
Stop the side conversations, please.
While in no confidence, if John Kenny detracts.
Mic check!
Mic check! While in, to the end, we're going to add, if everyone agrees, while in no confidence, if John Kenny detracts or misrepresents OSD or the process publicly by print, electronic media, or public meeting, or purports to represent OSD in any capacity, including the use of the word consenter or similar verbiage in reference to himself or others, he will forfeit his ability to have our confidence reinstated.
To have our confidence in him reinstated.
Yes. Sorry. Apparently 2 minutes was not enough time for those extra 2 words.
You never learned.
It's all right. It's all right.
Last time, we're going to hear the entire proposal, and then we're going to freaking vote on it, or consensus on it. Okay? I don't care what your concerns are. If you don't like it, block it.
What happened with the numbers?
Yeah, we're not doing the 51%.
That was overwhelmingly on the side of no, allow him to go through accountability and stuff if he wants to come back through. So,
Actually, we're saying nothing about it. Maybe we can table that or
we can vote.
All right, as written and amended and amended and amended, and now I officially have to transcribe it because no one else can read this shit. Whereas John Kenny is known to the Occupy San Diego General Assembly as having a history of constant non-democratic organizing, constant and repetitive subversion of process, self-aggrandizement, surveillance, both audio and video, of other occupiers with their explicit dissent, misrepresentation of himself, others, and Occupy San Diego as a whole, lack of transparency and refusal to address accountability grievances with the General Assembly.
Misappropriation of funds.
We, the General Assembly, hold John Kenny in no confidence. We got the funds back.
What about the 300?
This means that he may passively participate. He will be counted in quorum, but will not be able to block in any consensus call. He may not engage in any facilitatory role. This applies to the OSD General Assembly, committees, working groups, and planning meetings, or any interoccupied function. At such a time as John Kenney has addressed the concerns of the General Assembly and shows a conviction towards following the OSD process, a vote of confidence will reinstate him. The proposal to reinstate confidence must come from the Empowerment and Accountability Committees, which are tasked with ensuring all avenues to a solution are exhausted and there is insurmountable evidence that an individual's actions are directly threatening the progress and or solidarity of this movement, as well as working with the same individuals towards rehabilitation. Blocks to reinstatement for stated personal reasons will not be counted for reinstatement. While in no confidence, if John Kenney detracts or misrepresents OSD or the process publicly by print, electronic media, or public meeting, or purports to represent OSD in any capacity, including the use of the word consentor or similar verbiage in reference to himself or others, he will forfeit his ability to have our confidence in him reinstated.
So, simply this, who is in favor? Raise your hands. I can't vote.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37.
Those who disagree, but we'll let it pass. Those who abstain. Those who are blocked. 1, 2, 3, 4. From next. All right, we're gonna make this as quick as
All right,
possible.
hold on. How many blocks do we have? 4?
We have to hear why they hard block. I don't care what you people think about their hard block. We're gonna hear why they hard block, and we're gonna readdress this tomorrow. Eve, let's start with Chris.
I hard block because I want to make sure we have a way to re-include people, not just exclude.
Okay.
We do not have a way. We say we can go through accountability, but it does not give any steps the person must take to do this. It doesn't. Go to accountability, then come up with a proposal, how you re-include, and bring it back, and I'll vote yes in a heartbeat.
All right. I don't know your name.
I don't think anybody should told they're not belong. I don't think how crazy, how ignorant, how dumb, how selfish, whatever. I don't think you should give up on anyone.
Okay.
And,
Sorry, let me go down.
Yeah, along the lines of Chris, I'm not going to support any proposal that doesn't have positive benefits for our group, that doesn't actually seek to include and unite us as a 99%. I am not ready to give up on the 99% and including everyone, even if you don't like their personality.
Respect the speaker.
It's not personality. Don't tell me I wasn't listening.
Respect
I spent
the
3
speaker.
hours
Who
of
wants to
listening
talk
to
shit?
every single person.
I mean,
So this is
let her
my
talk.
opinion.
Sorry, can you
My
raise?
opinion. I don't need you.
Shh.
I don't need you speaking over
This is a
me.
dialogue. It needs to take place outside of GA.
I'm sorry, Mari. Can you
Next
restate
person had
that
a
so I
hard
have
block.
the
Can you hear what
concerns?
you have to say?
Yeah, that I'm not willing to support anything that doesn't positively seek unity and seek resolution in a positive way that builds community and doesn't exclude people. I mean, there's a difference between having a door that's open and reaching out a hand to someone. I think that we're human. We're here to reach out our hands to people to help people, not to exclude people and say, oh, well, there's a door, figure it out. I'm not about that.
Who was the fourth?
Me, I agree with actually every point that was just made. I think that if you're going to ban somebody, the road back needs to be more clear. And I don't even understand it myself right now, so I don't see how that person's going to understand it. I also think that the process for banning people, if you're going to have one, needs to be made totally aside from any individual person. And this proposal is completely wrapped up in an individual. So it shouldn't be that way. It's way too individualized. I feel like this proposal is meant to punish John, and I feel like it's being passed as quickly as possible to punish him as quickly as possible. And that's not. It should not be that way. And so I also what was the third thing I had? I also think this is going to cause more problem for us than it's going to help us. I think that there's going to be repercussions that you guys aren't thinking about, that John's going to put out another press release and put out more media about it. So I think you're going to get more problems. Anyways, I don't feel like it's solving anything.
All right, that is the end of this proposal until tomorrow with GA. We will rehash it then. If you have any concerns, bring it up then. Other than personal announcements, put your hands down.
Hey, question of project. So tomorrow, we'll go for 100% of consensus. If it does not pass consensus, then it's 90%.
Not the next day. Last night's count. Vote didn't count.
Oh.
You propose.
Yeah. Okay, the next thing. Got it.
Point of process. Can I propose the appointment of a rehabilitation amendment committee to hash out what they would like to add as a path to redemption?
I don't have time to be
With information, the accountability, and the familiarities.
All right. Well,
when are the accountability?
I'm about to tell you. Personal announcements are coming up. That's when I'm going to tell you when we're meeting.
Right.
Why did you do during committee announcements?
Yeah. 6 o'clock tomorrow. Accountability committee is meeting. We're also inviting the empowerment committee to show up and help us set up a route for people to get back into the General Assembly if they've been given a vote of no confidence, so that we can add that to the proposal and get it passed tomorrow. We're meeting at 6 o'clock. If you have a problem with the way the process allows people back into the GA, please be here tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Look for me. I carry the white flag.
Now, I'm going to clarify that tomorrow's proposal will come amended. That does not mean it's a new freaking proposal. It's the same proposal from tonight. We're going to tweak it to see if it passes tomorrow. Understood? Any disagreements with that?
How was this one not different than the one from last night?
It's a personal announcement.
All right. So, Occupy Supply. You know that entire email campaign thing? We got $100 for that. So thank you for everyone.
10 cities were picked out of all the occupations, and we were picked as a top 10. That's awesome.
What was that?
Top 12. Top 12.
I don't know what rank. We don't know what rank we're in, but we were top 12, and we got $100.
There were 3 ranks, and we got in 3rd.
Every occupation.
Fire Dog Lake.
Randomly.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't randomly.
No, we have been in that.
We're a powerhouse.
My personal announcement is that, I got working on with Pastor Ron to have a teaching with him, trying to have it structured maybe every Sunday. We're working on the time and the time and days that we're going to do it. But I wanted to be announced so that way we could, so people could know that if they want to participate in hearing spiritual ways to get to being better, personally or whatever. It's not for everyone. It doesn't have to mean that you have to exclude yourself from the whole thing. It's just if you want to, it's going to be able to be facilitated by actual chaplains, so that'd be cool. So I think everyone should know that. I'm letting you know. So if you want to know more and figure out, I'll be helpful if you let me know what states are good for you. I can talk to chaplain and see what times that we can come to, so everyone can participate that wants to.
We actually do whenever we're asked to step back.
This is relating actually, going back to that vote. If we are the 99% and we're after the 1%, well, there's a personal announcement. I mean, if you're going to kick somebody out, what are we, the 98%?
Bring it up tomorrow.
Thank you.
PJ, your turn.
We consensus GA not to smoke cigarettes at GA. So we need to either get rid of the rule or not smoke cigarettes at GA.
Well, clarification. We can sense that we would step outside of GA to smoke.
Oh, okay.
Not that we ban GA from smoking.
So anyway, just hopefully for tomorrow, I don't know who's going to volunteer to ever moderate ever after this one. But could we just address that at the beginning and just start calling people out immediately? Anyway.
Just ask somebody, tell them your smoke's bothering you. Yeah. Just say, would you mind stepping out behind?
I nominate Ben.
Can't do it 2 days in a row.
Just want to give a reminder. I know Leslie gave one last week, I think, but don't forget to call the district attorney's office and check up on your cases, because they can file them within the year. And in Oakland, there were some cases where they filed some people's cases and the people didn't know, and they got pulled over and got arrested for a traffic ticket because there was a warrant out for their arrest. So if you need the number, I posted it on the Facebook group today, but I also have it if you want to text me or call me or whatever.
They never filed charges.
Thank you.
No, I mean, I called today and they're not, mine aren't filed, but you just want to check every couple weeks.
But I have a personal announcement. I just want to say shit's fucked up. Shit's fucked up and bullshit.
That's bullshit. All right. I'm gonna take my hat off real quick. I got an announcement. Real quick, who wants dinners to continue every night? Real quick, show of hands. Okay, everybody else doesn't give a shit. It shows
Yeah,
we have no
because they're not here
cooks,
that often.
and we need more cooks. We need more people who are willing to actually make that happen. We have all the food. We actually have a kitchen as well. So if you are truly interested in cooking, that means you actually have to do it if you sign up on that day. It would be to show up at 2 or 2:30 at the kitchen. Food's got to be done by 5:30. All right, whoever's ready, over here after GA. Let's get together and talk real quick. Thanks for paying attention. I'm done.
What about who's going to moderate tomorrow?
We still have 2 people on personal announcement stacks. Just because the moderator went doesn't mean it's over. What?
Yeah.
Oh.
Wednesday, the
Put
free
your hat back
speech reenactment meeting shutting down at 5th and E. Labor Union's going to be there at 6.
We're meeting here at 4 or 4:30.
Meeting here at 4. James is going to have a badass teach-in.
Badass teaching, James Bartoli?
Bartoli. That's a yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Badass
we want to
teach-in,
leave it by like
and on top of that, protest and shutting down the labor unions on Wednesday. Be there or don't be there.
That means that the third night for a vote on this proposal would be Wednesday, when many people will be away. I would like to suggest that it be moved to Thursday. The vote moved to Thursday.
Our process has 3 days.
Well, okay, process point. Our process says the third day comes up for a vote on the agenda. Nothing says that tomorrow night it doesn't pass. Nothing says that tomorrow night, if it's blocked, it's not tabled to Thursday. None of that has been established yet.
I would like to point out that for the most part, we're running the event on Wednesday from 4 to 6, and essentially because that's when the labor union, the labor group is showing up. And so I see no reason for us not to continue having GA at 7 on Wednesday, just because you can continue getting up on your soapbox, or you could come here and be a part of the GA. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. It's your choice to make. I fully plan on being here for GA at 7 o'clock on Wednesday.
Yeah, because the labor union thing will be going on for an hour already.
Exactly. At 7 o'clock, they'll been speaking for an hour. So, I mean, again.
Just like one point of information on that. My understanding is after their program of like an hour, they plan to have open mics type situation. It might be nice to postpone GA for like an hour.
We can discuss that tomorrow.
We can discuss that tomorrow. I agree.
Is there a proposal for the agenda tomorrow to postpone the GA on Wednesday until 8 o'clock?
Seconded.
Proposal and seconded. Third. Anybody object to that? To a proposal for tomorrow night's GA that Wednesday night's GA be postponed until 8 o'clock so that we can fully participate in the action on Wednesday. Any objections? So that proposal will go on the agenda for tomorrow.
So will Martha Sullivan's proposal for the Accountability Committee's charter thing.
So we're saying GA is going to
She brought it up today. It's an agenda tomorrow.
There are 2 on the agenda now. And this one. 2 new ones and a table.
Any other personal ones?
I just have a question. I'm just wondering, like, about the conference on Saturday. Like, is there any more meetings or planning going on for that?
Every day at 5:30 here.
Every day at 5:30 here? Okay, so is everything going well and on track for that? Okay, perfect. Because I would hate to lose all this time when we have a lot of guests coming from out of town.
Okay. I found out a sort of a timeline of international events on Facebook. It's called Anonymous Support Network. Look it up. They have cool shit. and one of them. Sorry, I'm picking up your word. And one of the events, basically, they're following the Arab Spring, but not necessarily the events that they're planning is exclusive to Arab Spring. International Workers' Day, which is May Day, is on it. Spanish Revolution, June 15 is on it. And the first one coming up is Solidarity with Revolution in Bahrain on the 14th of February, which is coming up very soon. I just want to put it on an agenda for tomorrow so we can basically have an action, even if it is a small action. So basically we can go on, do international solidarity with people against oppression, austerity, against all this crap that capitalism brings out. So tomorrow I want it on to be on the GA. Can I get a second, please?
Second,
third, fourth. Can you email facilitation what exactly that proposal is so that I don't have to try and remember it?
Okay, I will do that.
Thank you. That'll make that easier. I have 2 personal announcements.
You can take a vote on the information from here.
Oh.
The events committee was already planning something for the 14th. If you could maybe come to events committee and we can work out something, that'd be awesome.
Okay.
We meet at 4:30 tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
That would be awesome. 2 personal announcements. One of them not so personal. Actually, neither of them really that personal. First one, there are, 17 Americans being charged in Egypt right now as part of that revolution, and our government finally stepped in and said shit's fucked up and bullshit and is threatening sanctions on Egypt if they do not let these protesters go. So, accept a small victory.
Oh, so we get treated better in Egypt than here?
Okay, second way. I just want to remind everyone that we have consensus that this is not a leaderless movement. This is a movement full of leaders. And the success of this movement directly relates to how much active participation this movement gets from its members. So, please, everyone, I am sick and tired of seeing the same 20 people on every committee trying to get all of the logistical and planning and grunt work done.
Still get it done.
I know bail committee is overworked and they've got a shit job and very little recognition. Food committee needs a lot of help. Pretty much all of our committees need you. Find somewhere you're passionate, find something that motivates you, and please
Put down the keyboard.
take a stand. Like, stand up and fight with us. And please, 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 because I would love to see everyone in this circle right now take an active role in shaping the direction of this movement. The other 20 hours of the day that we're not, well, today, the other 20 hours of the day that we're not in GA hashing out these specific things. The more participation we get from everyone in all of that backstory shit work, this thing's just going to go so much better and it's going to get so much bigger and there's so much more we can do. And I know there are brilliant ideas in all of you, and if we can get those in all levels of this process, we will be so much more successful.
Amen.
I love you all.
Love you too.
Moderator. Who's the moderator for tomorrow?
I propose
nominate.
for French to me. I mean, Irish. I'm sorry, Irish.
I nominate Donna.
Are you fucking
Second.
I got second on Irish.
But I do have a
Irish.
Irish. Second on Irish.
Yes, I asked them. That's why
I really don't care as long as when moderating is going on, because I don't like dealing with bullshit. If someone is talking and you start interrupting, I will be a very dick moderator. If
Second Irish.
30 hard blocks against Irish.
No!
Let's fair. Let's do that.
The fighting stayed behind. We stayed over the curfew. We have friends over there.
Mic check!
Mic check!
Mic check!
Mic check!
I just want to say, guys, fucked up as this issue is,
New answer.
you guys did pretty fucking good.
We did a really good
All right, so
damn
good job.
GA, guys.
Yeah. You know, unity, community, it all goes one together.
Guys,
We'll figure this shit out.
We're getting better at this.
Come on.
Let's hear the 10-minute Solidarity Forever song.
When the government's betrayal through the people's blood shall run, there can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. Yet what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? Occupation makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Occupation makes us strong. Is there aught we hold in common with the greedy parasite who would beat us into silence and would crush us with his might? Is there anything left for us but to organize and fight? Occupation makes us strong. It is we who come together for growth and unity. Facing violence and oppression, we will bring equality. Now we stand up as is needed to ensure that we stay free. Occupation makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Occupation makes us strong. All the world that's owned by greed and hate is theirs and theirs alone. We are building new foundations, building skyward stone by stone, taking back from them our freedoms which corruption tries to own. Occupation makes us strong. They have taken untold billions that they never toiled to earn, but without our brain and muscle, not a single wheel can turn. We can break their haughty power, gain our freedom when we learn. Occupation makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Occupation makes us strong. In our hands is placed a power greater than the hoarding gold, greater than the might of armies magnified 1,000-fold. We will bring to birth the new world from the ashes of the old. Occupation makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Occupation makes us strong. Move on over, move on over you. Move on over, move on over you. Move on over, move on over you. 'Cause women's time has
The actual song. The solidarity forever. Shit's fucked up and bullshit. Shit's fucked up. Shit's fucked up and bullshit. Shit's fucked up. Shit's fucked up and bullshit. Shit's fucked up. Shit's fucked up and bullshit. Shit fucked up.
I understand. All right.
It's Martha.
Martha, I think she